parasitic creature has taken residence behind someone's eye. The creature, which appears to be mostly brain, pleads to be freed from its fragile casing before others return. There is tension and fear as the brain is lifted from its skull, presenting an opportunity for control. The creature urgently indicates they must head to the helm, where they are needed for navigation and escape. The being refers to itself simply as we and insists on proceeding to the helm immediately. A shocking revelation occurs. Those infected with the parasites will transform into mind flayers within days unless they can escape and be cleansed. The immediate plan is to eliminate threats, reach the helm, and take control of the ship. Someone questions why they were forced onto the ship, learning it was to receive a gift, something placed in their eye meant to transform them. Despite the ominous implications, they continue pressing toward the helm. They encounter a console that appears more organic than mechanical, with a pulsing glow. Upon interaction, the parasite causes discomfort, but then enables a connection, granting control over the biomechanical systems. The protagonist awakens to find the parasite, called a tadpole, still squirming in their skull. While they survive the ordeal, it's understood the infection is fatal without treatment. Time is running out to find a cure. A companion named Shadowheart expresses gratitude for being rescued from a pod, acknowledging the risk taken. They agree to stick together given their shared predicament with the parasites. Another survivor named Astarion introduces himself, revealing he was taken from Baldur's Gate. After initial hostility, he suggests joining forces to deal with their shared parasitic problem. A new ally named Gale appears, explaining his dramatic escape from the nautiloid ship through magical means. He provides concerning information about their condition. The parasite will cause ceremorphosis, transforming them into mind flayers. The group agrees to work together to find a healer, acknowledging that treating their condition requires specialized knowledge. They recognize that time is limited, and their survival depends on finding help quickly. A tense escape situation unfolds, where characters avoid confrontation, using the wisdom of the second mouse getting the cheese. There's an underlying sense of danger as they navigate through what appears to be a precarious situation, showing strategic thinking rather than rushing into conflict. The group discovers something hidden underneath, causing a stone to crash down. This reveals the presence of hidden mechanisms or structures in their environment, adding to the mysterious nature of their surroundings. An investigation reveals a peculiar scene with no obvious signs of conflict, but protected writings suggest controversial or important information. The absence of struggle marks contrast with the apparent need for security, hinting at deeper mysteries. Something awakens in the depths, surrounded by the remains of those who refuse to give up their possessions even in death. These undead guardians continue to protect their treasures, showing an unusual level of persistence beyond mortality. A mysterious entity poses philosophical questions about the worth of mortal life, distinguishing itself from previously encountered enemies. The conversation takes an intellectual turn, exploring deeper meanings of existence and value. The group settles into a camp, though concerns about internal threats persist. They plan to seek a healer at dawn, recognizing their urgent need for medical assistance. The situation feels particularly novel for some members unused to rough living conditions. A profound discussion about the reality of supernatural threats occurs. What were once abstract concepts like devils, dragons, and mind flayers have become tangible dangers, forcing the group to confront their new reality with parasitic threats. An encounter with a mysterious skeleton occurs, offering resurrection services for a price. Despite its powerful abilities, the skeleton remains cryptic about its nature and origins, creating an air of intrigue and uncertainty. The group confronts a potentially dangerous prisoner with telepathic abilities. Tension builds as they debate how to handle the situation, with some advocating caution while others push for more direct action. A dramatic scene unfolds at a gate involving goblins and resulting in casualties. Tensions flare between survivors over responsibility and leadership decisions, highlighting the stress of their dangerous situation. The group learns about a ritual that threatens to cut off a grove from the outside world. Refugees face potential exile, despite the dangers awaiting them beyond the grove's protection, creating a moral dilemma for all involved. There is a dangerous infernal war devil named Karlach, an archdevil soldier who poses a serious threat. After tracking her through the hells to a mind flayer ship, an infection was contracted from the lithids before being able to eliminate her. She continues to prey on innocent victims, leaving behind countless corpses. A partnership is proposed to find a cure for the infection, though hunting down Karlach remains the primary mission. The partnership is accepted with the understanding that when called upon for battle, there will be a swift response. A tense encounter occurs with a Githyanki warrior named Lae'zel, requiring proper protocol and formal greetings, including specific bowing customs. Information is shared about another Githyanki spotted near Baldur's Gate who had violently attacked someone. Discussion reveals there are Githyanki to the west who may hold the key to purification from the parasite infection. The local customs and geography of Faerûn are briefly discussed, though details about the purification process remain secret due to covenant restrictions. A dramatic situation unfolds involving a young accused thief who allegedly stole a holy idol. Despite tensions, the situation is resolved when the idol is recovered and the girl is released, though under strict warning about future behavior. Information is shared about the Rite of Thorns, a powerful magical ritual that will seal the grove with brambles and thorns, creating an impenetrable sanctuary. However, the ritual cannot proceed while outsiders remain present, leading to growing tensions. A healer named Nettie is consulted about mind flayer infections. She explains that normally, mind flayer parasites transform their hosts within 7 days, but this particular infection is unusual, granting powers without immediate transformation. Nettie provides a vial of wyvern poison as a last resort against the infection, revealing she cannot cure it. She shares information about other infected individuals converging on an old temple of Selûne, and about Master Halsin, who disappeared while investigating with adventurers. A young girl named Arabella helped resolve a situation involving some light-fingered activities. The scene then transitions into an enchanting but dangerous moment where a sweet, magical melody tries to lure someone in. The melody creates a spell-like trance that is eventually broken, revealing it was just a deceptive trick involving water. After escaping a dangerous situation, someone is trying to catch their breath and mentions needing to get back to Mol. They discuss finding a boy named Donnie and accessing the dragon's lair through a concealed hatch. The scene shows the growing trust between characters as they help each other navigate tricky situations. A conversation reveals recent heroic actions, including saving Arabella from druids and helping Merkin escape harpies. The discussion turns to revenge, with someone proposing to steal a valuable idol from some antagonists. However, this risky plan is met with refusal from others who think it could get everyone killed. The scene shifts to a touching musical moment where someone is struggling to perfect a song about their teacher Lihala. The song describes memories of Lihala dancing beneath stars. Through collaboration, they work on improving the lyrics, leading to an emotional performance that brings tears to their eyes. A conversation about a dangerous contract reveals information about Halsey, a first druid who left the grove. The contract involves searching for a relic called the Night Song, supposedly hidden under a temple where goblins attacked. The mission had previously gone wrong, resulting in casualties. The situation in the grove becomes dire as they discuss the threat of both druids and goblins. A plan emerges to target the goblin leadership to help ensure safe passage to Baldur's Gate. The group realizes they need to eliminate the goblin commanders to protect their people during the journey. An intense scene unfolds with an injured person named Edwin, who appears to be connected to something called the Absolute. Through a mental connection, visions reveal information about siblings named Andric and Brenna. The Absolute is described as a goddess planning to create a new world order. A touching moment occurs with a dog named Scratch, who is found grieving near a corpse. Despite attempts to convince the loyal dog to follow, Scratch remains devoted to their deceased owner, though eventually shows understanding and knows how to find help if needed. A confrontation occurs with some bullies who are tormenting someone. Through the use of authority and a glowing symbol, the situation is diffused. The scene demonstrates the power dynamics at play and how authority can be used to prevent violence. A deep gnome from Baldur's Gate explains their search for a missing friend. They found their friend's bloodied necklace in the lower city and believe they might be in the Underdark. Despite the concerning circumstances, they maintain hope of finding their friend alive. The scene opens in a remote location described as the middle of nowhere. A mysterious figure speaks of needing privacy and refinement, suggesting the current setting is too isolated for their preferences. They invite someone to a more suitable location called the House of Hope, where the weary can rest and the hungry can feast lavishly. The mysterious figure presents themselves as a potential friend, adversary, and definite savior. They claim the other person is in over their head with a situation involving two beings sharing one skull. The figure offers to fix everything instantly, but their offer is rejected as being a deal with the devil. The mysterious figure warns of upcoming symptoms, including deteriorating skin and dissolving internal organs, though they have not yet manifested. They suggest the other person is temporarily lucky, but will eventually seek their help when all other options are exhausted and hope turns to despair. The scene shifts to someone named Beretta being told not to waste time with locals. They are searching for a weapon and are warned about failing their queen. A dragon is mentioned as being nearby, with reassurances that it will not cause harm as it serves the Githyanki. A character named Lazelle interacts with a figure called Kithrak. They discuss a crashed vessel containing thieves who have stolen a precious weapon with sacred runes. The weapon appears to be in close proximity, though this fact must be kept secret. Lazelle is instructed to join the search. The conversation turns to mind flayers and a possible cure for their condition. A crash site is identified as containing a purification device, knowledge gained from the Collier Library. The Githyanki are described as eternal knowledge collectors who explore countless planes of existence. A detailed description of the transformation process is provided, starting with fever and memory loss, progressing through hallucinations and physical changes, ultimately resulting in the birth of a mind flayer. The timeline of symptoms appears delayed, which is noted as potentially concerning. The conversation becomes more personal as characters discuss their future plans. One mentions returning to Baldur's Gate, where someone awaits them. The arrival of Githyanki patrols in the area is noted as an unexpected and dangerous development. A character named Gale reveals a separate condition requiring him to consume powerful magical artifacts. He successfully convinces another character to help him obtain and absorb such an item, though the details of his condition remain mysterious. A group of spirits trapped by the cult of the Absolute are deeply unhappy with their fate. These worthy spirits could potentially be summoned to provide assistance, though their willingness to help is questionable. The reliability and trustworthiness of these cultists remains uncertain. During an uneasy night filled with disturbing dreams, a shocking revelation occurs. A companion is exposed as a vampire spawn, caught in an attempt to feed. Despite their attempts to explain, evidence of previous feeding is discovered. The vampire expresses weakness and desperation for blood to regain strength. A tense confrontation ensues over trust and secrecy. The vampire spawn explains their need for blood to survive and maintain strength. After negotiation, permission is granted for a small taste. The feeding experience is described as an icy sensation with numbness and quickened pulse. The following morning brings discussion of vampire abilities and limitations. Unlike true vampires, this spawn can withstand sunlight and perform normal activities like crossing running water. These unusual changes are theorized to be caused by a mind flayer parasite, though the exact cause remains unknown. The group encounters a celebration involving magical beasts. Access requires wearing specific colors and participating in local customs. The scene involves complex negotiations and unusual requirements for passage. A powerful vision appears featuring 3 distinct figures: an commanding armored elf, a charming young man, and a pale-eyed woman. A mysterious artifact provides unexpected protection from an overwhelming presence trying to control minds. A unique game called chicken chasing is introduced, though it involves an owlbear rather than an actual chicken. The game has specific rules and betting systems, with restrictions on who can officially win. This leads to tension when victory terms are disputed. The group explores a ruined temple dedicated to Faerûn. A companion reveals their secret worship of Shar, the mistress of the night, explaining their mission to oppose Faerûn's followers. They discuss the importance of secrecy in their faith, including self-imposed memory suppression. The investigation of a mysterious weapon continues, with information suggesting it was taken to a looter camp after the death of a squid-like creature. The search connects to earlier visions of an armored elf discussing rewards for finding this powerful weapon. A tense scene unfolds where someone is seeking a powerful artifact being carried by another person. This artifact had previously provided protection when entering a goblin camp. There is concern about keeping this weapon hidden and preventing suspicion from arising during an upcoming ceremony. A disturbing ritual takes place involving a hideous corpse with writhing tentacles. Questions are asked about the identity of the Absolute, but the answers remain cryptic and mysterious, speaking of absolute unity and power. This creates confusion and suspicion among those present. Visions reveal fragments about dragon riders, silver blades, and control panels melting. The questioning continues about activities in Faerûn and why certain ships were being pursued. The corpse collapses before providing clear answers, leading to frustration about the lack of useful information. A priestess offers to mark someone with a tattoo showing devotion to the Absolute. The marking ritual has special significance for their camp. There is mention of special status and chosen ones. The priestess can probe minds, creating an unsettling mental connection. An interrogation scene reveals information about refugees fleeing to a grove. Someone is being tortured for information, and there are discussions about taking over the interrogation to prevent a prisoner's death. The situation involves a druid named Halsin who can transform into a bear. A tense confrontation occurs where a leader is upset about missing scouts and escaped prisoners. Threats of punishment are made, and a vision appears showing a pale-eyed woman whispering to a drow. The scene involves discussions about hunting down a hidden sanctuary. A dramatic revelation occurs about an artifact that poses additional problems beyond the parasitic worms affecting people. The scene suggests this artifact has major significance to the overall situation and could be a source of danger. The final sequence introduces Halsin, a druid master who was saved from danger. He discusses parasites infecting people called true souls and their connection to mind flayers. While unable to cure the condition, he offers to help, though specific solutions remain unclear. A discovery reveals that cultists are sending their captives to Moonrise Towers, which appears to be the source of the Tadpole magic and infections affecting the true souls. This location likely holds the key to finding a cure for the Tadpole problem. A request is made to help protect the natural order by eliminating key threats: the Drama, Thara the Hobgoblin, Draw Ragslin, and a corrupted priestess. A shape-shifting bear druid offers assistance but warns their presence could lead to widespread goblin conflict. After successfully eliminating the targets, plans are made to regroup at the Grove to discuss the next steps regarding Moonrise Towers in a more peaceful setting. An encounter between a Githyanki and another character leads to an unexpected romantic advance, which is politely declined despite the intense attraction described. A mysterious artifact demonstrates unusual behavior by moving between characters of its own accord. It seems to have protective properties and a will of its own, leading to agreement to keep it with its current holder. Discussion of a mysterious never-healing wound that causes intense pain connected to Lady Shaw. The wound is described as potentially having guidance or testing purposes, though its true meaning remains unclear. A vampire named Astarion reveals their past as a magistrate in Baldur's Gate before being turned by Casador. The transformation occurred after a violent attack when Casador offered eternal life as an alternative to death. An agreement is reached regarding feeding habits, with the vampire promising to only feed on villains and enemies during combat, avoiding harm to innocents. Discussion about a condition requiring magic as tribute to maintain peace, with warnings about severe consequences if the magical payments stop. The story of pursuing Karlach, a devil, through Baldur's Gate and into Avernus is shared. The chase involved a mind flayer ship and was undertaken to prevent potential destruction. Information about mind flayer parasites and ceremorphosis is revealed, explaining how hosts typically transform into mind flayers shortly after infection, leading to skepticism about claims of parasitic infection without transformation. A tense confrontation unfolds as someone describes an internal struggle with a disturbing presence that is causing physical and mental anguish. The situation feels desperate as they contemplate using a blade to end their suffering and that of others around them. The person expresses distrust in their own mind, but decides to trust another's judgment instead. They agree to wait, but issue a dark warning. If the sickness doesn't pass by dawn, they will take drastic action against everyone, including themselves. A mysterious figure arrives claiming to have helped before, preventing a transformation into a mind flayer. They offer protection and guidance, suggesting that the parasite within holds great potential that should be embraced rather than resisted. Upon awakening, several people discuss shared vivid dreams involving a figure who promised protection while encouraging them to harness the parasite's power. There are mixed reactions. Some are intrigued, while others strongly distrust these dream messages. The scene shifts to a toll house that has become a refuge for injured paladins of Tyr. They explain their mission to hunt down a one-horned tiefling named Karlach, who they claim is a dangerous devil responsible for killing refugees. A confrontation occurs with Karlach, revealing visions of her past involvement in demonic armies and the Blood War. Karlach claims she was forced to serve the Archdevil Zariel against her will and escaped when possible. The truth about Karlach emerges. She is not actually a devil, but rather a skilled warrior who escaped Zariel's service. She proposes an alliance to deal with the paladins hunting her, explaining that she won't return to her former master. A tense standoff develops between Karlach and the injured paladins. Despite their pleas and claims of serving Tyr, The situation escalates into violence as true motivations are revealed and trust breaks down completely. After the conflict, Karlach demonstrates her supernatural abilities, showing she can produce intense flames due to her infernal heart. She explains this power has been enhanced since leaving Avernus, though it may be running dangerously hot. The conversation begins with discussion of an infernal engine heart condition caused by high pain tolerance and difficult past experiences. While the full tragic backstory is being saved for later, there is an urgent need to find someone who can tune up the engine. There are mentions of paladins who revealed information about an infernal mechanic in the area. A group of tieflings in a nearby druid's grove might be able to help locate this mechanic, who could potentially stabilize the engine situation. The scene shifts dramatically to discover a massacre involving drow and goblins. There is urgent movement and commands to push forward, with mentions of Raven Guard potentially being inside. A rescue situation unfolds where someone named Floric is saved, though they suffer minor injuries like a scorched throat. Important news emerges that drow have captured Grand Duke Raven Guard and taken him westward. A revelation occurs that one of the characters is Raven Guard's son, though this relationship is described as complex. The Duke has been taken to Moonrise Towers by the Absolute cult, and his absence threatens Baldur's Gate's stability. A disturbing scene unfolds involving a transformation where a dying hyena spawns into a gnoll, described as a vicious, monstrous humanoid. The scene is particularly graphic, with descriptions of physical metamorphosis. A character reveals their past as a wizard prodigy who had a special relationship with Mystra, the goddess of magic. They explain how their ambition led them to seek greater magical power beyond established boundaries. The story continues with a tale about Netheril, an ancient empire whose ruler attempted to usurp the goddess of magic. This resulted in the shattering of the weave, magic's fundamental force, which Mystra later restored. A dangerous condition is revealed involving a magical orb that requires constant feeding with magical energy. If left unchecked, it could cause an explosion capable of destroying a city the size of Waterdeep. The narrative shifts to an immediate threat from gnolls, with characters working together to hold a defensive line and prepare for battle. Multiple escape routes are discussed as tension builds. The scene takes place at the Tavern, an exclusive drinking spot that requires a special password, Little Serpent, Long Shadow. The establishment offers sanctuary and hospitality to those in need, though recent events have made safe places scarce after Gorkin's Rest was burned down. The story revolves around valuable cargo meant for a wealthy client in Baldur's Gate. These expensive trinkets, while seemingly just decorative items destined to collect dust, have caused significant trouble and led to multiple deaths. The delivery payment makes the risky venture worthwhile despite the human cost. The location appears to be under threat due to a duke's kidnapping nearby. The Flaming Fist is seeking someone to blame, causing the current occupants to plan an evacuation to the Elf Songs district in the city. The tense situation has disrupted normal operations and social gatherings. A unique service is offered involving a pet artist who creates portraits. This artist, actually a captive noble, claims to have connections to wealthy patrons in Baldur's Gate. The artist turns out to be engaged to Lady Janet, though complications arose from a past relationship. A dramatic confrontation unfolds regarding a missing sister named Marina, who disappeared after visiting a mysterious hag. The sister, struggling after her husband's death, had mentioned strange things about bringing him back. Her brothers are desperately searching for her, despite warnings about the dangerous nature of hag magic. The scene shifts to a swampy area where a disturbing situation unfolds involving Auntie Ethel, revealed to be a hag, forcing someone named Marina to eat. The hag shows knowledge of mind flayers and offers suspicious deals. The environment appears magically altered and deeply unsettling. The hag's true nature becomes apparent in her playhouse, where she has apparently done something sinister to Marina. The scene includes disturbing visions and illusions, with references to death and transformation. The atmosphere is increasingly threatening and supernatural. A confrontation with the hag reaches its climax, with violent threats and magical combat. The scene is intense and dangerous, showing the true extent of the hag's malevolent power and intentions. The resolution reveals Marina had made a terrible bargain with the hag, planning to trade her unborn child for the return of her dead husband. After the hag's defeat, Marina expresses anger at the intervention, believing she has lost her only chance to see her husband again. She must now face the challenge of raising her child alone. A tense scene unfolds with mentions of the mind flame and disturbing visions. There are warnings about someone potentially transforming in a violent way, with gruesome descriptions of physical changes and destructive behavior. The scene conveys an atmosphere of impending doom and supernatural danger. A heartbreaking moment occurs when someone discovers a magical wand and attempts to resurrect their husband Connor. Despite their hopes and the wand's surge of power, the resurrection does not work as intended, leading to an unsettling outcome. The grieving person decides to seek help in Baldur's Gate to properly restore Connor. Good news spreads about the defeat of goblin leadership, bringing hope of escape. The community shows gratitude by collecting a reward, though modest. Hassan returns and plans are made to celebrate at camp. The victory brings peace to this part of the Sword Coast. An interaction occurs with someone from an infernal background who has escaped from Avernus. They discuss engine troubles with infernal machinery that's overheating. A solution involving infernal iron is proposed to help stabilize the engine, with promises of future improvements in Baldur's Gate. Drama unfolds regarding the Rite of Thorns, with a master druid confronting someone about unauthorized actions. Despite initial anger, the master allows them to stay, but demotes them to novice status. The scene reveals tensions within the druid community, while acknowledging the necessity of working together. A celebration begins at camp, with people singing and sharing wine. Various characters interact, some discussing songwriting, others showing off magical abilities. The mood is festive, but some remain concerned about future challenges facing the refugees. A romantic moment develops between two characters, including talk of dancing and a kiss. One expresses regret about not being able to return to their previous life, adding a bittersweet note to the otherwise tender scene. The celebration continues with various interactions. Some struggle with their newfound hero status, while others seek intimate connections. There are discussions about magical lessons and future plans, all while the party atmosphere maintains a mix of joy and underlying tension. A casual conversation takes place at what appears to be a party or celebration. One participant mentions needing a fire-retardant lover and discusses how parties in Avernus were quite different, mostly involving avoiding danger and schemes rather than enjoyment. The atmosphere was described as hostile, making it difficult to form friendships. Someone encourages Karlach to enjoy the evening and not waste time talking, suggesting they will discuss problems tomorrow. When offered a drink, they decline, explaining that alcohol affects them strongly and might lead to embarrassing behavior like impromptu singing or romantic declarations. A concerning medical situation unfolds involving an attempted parasite extraction. Volo, acting as an amateur surgeon, attempts a dangerous procedure involving needles and eventually an ice pick near the patient's eye socket. Despite claims of expertise, the procedure goes horribly wrong. The botched medical procedure results in severe damage, with the patient's eye being accidentally removed. Volo attempts to make amends by offering a replacement relic, then quickly makes an exit while apologizing for the mishap. The scene shifts to a quieter moment as someone approaches their sleeping quarters. There are hints of potential romance with mention of someone yearning in the dark, creating an atmosphere of anticipation and possibility. A discussion about a dangerous journey to Moonrise Towers takes place. The path involves navigating through a cursed area shrouded in shadow where twisted beings pose a threat. Two route options are presented: the Risen Road or an underground passage through the Temple of Selûne. The scene transitions to an encounter with a mysterious entity called Sovereign, communicating through musical harmonies. The being shares visions and memories of violence involving Duergar, dark dwarves, and their attacks on young myconids. A tense confrontation occurs with a slave hunter who's pursuing someone for their boots. The situation escalates despite attempts at peaceful resolution, highlighting the harsh realities of this world. A complex situation develops involving sovereign beings and their conflict over territory. One sovereign must be eliminated, leading to difficult choices about loyalty and survival in the underground realm. The scene opens with a mysterious request to bring someone named Nies Head. A character agrees to help with this dangerous task, suggesting they could lend a hand in this seemingly ominous situation. The conversation reveals there's some tension and uncertainty around this mission near a lake. Talk turns to an unusual situation involving a drow carrying a book about plump mating rituals. There is discussion about someone named Balin, described as a bald dwarf in a blue tunic who's gone missing. His wife seems frustrated with him, warning against any attempts at ransoming him with threats of violent consequences. A tense situation develops involving toxic mushrooms. Someone has lost their scroll and bag, desperately needing help to find them. The environment appears dangerous, with breathing difficulties mentioned, suggesting possible toxic spores in the air. The scene shifts to a reunion where Balin is found. His wife expresses mixed feelings about his return, noting he's empty-handed, but at least alive. Discussion reveals they're seeking valuable noble stock mushrooms that are highly prized in Baldur's Gate for their healing properties, including curing blindness, poison, and hair loss. An encounter occurs with a scholarly figure named Blog, a member of the Society of Brilliance. The interaction reveals complex mind-to-mind communication through spores, showing advanced telepathic abilities. Blog expresses interest in learning about different races and communities, particularly the Myconates. A critical revelation occurs about an illicit tadpole infection from a mind flare. The situation is described as miraculous since the infected individual hasn't transformed. This leads to meeting Omalium, who offers to examine the condition despite being unable to extract the parasite due to its protected state. The conversation turns to potential solutions involving alchemical substances to bypass the tadpole's stasis. Specific mushrooms with psionic properties are mentioned as key ingredients, though they're described as dangerous. A cleric named Lenore is suggested as a possible source for these rare ingredients. Details emerge about a unique situation involving an escaped colony member with arcane magic abilities. The individual describes surviving through an arrangement with a lich, feeding on those who oppose their society's goals. This reveals complex political and survival dynamics in their world. A rescue situation unfolds involving the Jean clan, renowned artificers from Baldur's Gate. They were captured during an expedition by beings called Dwega while mining for materials. A clan member requests help in rescuing their captured kin, promising payment for assistance. A heartfelt exchange occurs between two companions, with one offering magical boots taken from the Greys to help fight against daggers. The mood is bittersweet as they discuss an escape plan, with one having to stay behind while hoping the boots will be put to good use in combat. A romantic moment is recalled between the companions, including a memorable kiss. The conversation turns nostalgic as they discuss one's background as the son of a Grand Duke, revealing a contrast between nobility and humble beginnings. Their father, a blacksmith's son, rose through the ranks of the Flaming Fist through bravery and determination. The discussion explores the four pillars of power: courage, insight, strategy, and justice. A critical view of diplomatic duties emerges, with a preference for direct monster slaying over political maneuvering. The Frontiers is described as a place of action rather than posturing. A stark revelation about serving a figure called Keith demonstrates the harsh demands of their service, marked by violence and survival. The speaker describes themselves as having a silver mind and steel body, shaped by their experiences and duties. A follower of Shar, the Mistress of Night, explains their beliefs. They describe embracing darkness rather than fearing it, and discuss how their faith involves moving beyond mortal concerns like pain and hope. The conversation reveals how Shar worshippers aim to challenge established institutions. An explanation of vampire transformation is provided, detailing the complex process of becoming a vampire spawn and the rare transition to true vampire status. The discussion emphasizes the power dynamics involved, with existing vampires rarely willing to create potential competitors. The tale of Karsus is shared, describing an incredibly powerful wizard who attempted to usurp the goddess of magic, Mistral. His actions led to catastrophic consequences, including the temporary loss of all magic and the fall of an entire civilization, an event known as Karsus's Folly. A personal history in the Blood War is revealed, beginning in Baldur's Gate. The story involves deception by someone named Gortash, leading to involvement with Zariel, an archdevil of Avernus, and subsequent years of fighting and hellish conflicts. Information about parasites and a shadow curse affecting the region around Moonrise Towers is discussed. The curse has created a state of darkness and despair, turning people into shadow-cursed beings. The speaker expresses responsibility for addressing this supernatural threat. A tense confrontation unfolds with the appearance of Mizora, revealed to be a patron of significant power. The exchange involves threats and references to past deals, particularly concerning someone named Karlach. The scene culminates in ominous descriptions of punishment in the fires of Avernus. A tense confrontation occurs where someone has broken a magical pact and must face the consequences. The person has been transformed into a new form that cannot be undone. There are mentions of keeping watch over someone and maintaining an existing agreement. A warlock explains their situation with Mizora, revealing they made a pact that granted them powers like conjuring armor and casting eldritch blasts. While they can't disclose the specific terms, they insist their actions were for the good of the coast, and they don't regret making the pact. The scene shifts to a discussion about a parasite infection. Someone has been avoiding using the parasite's power, hoping to find a cure. However, even powerful healers like Holton have been unable to remove it. The parasite is described as being protected by unusual magic that makes removal fatal. The conversation reveals details about the Absolute, a powerful entity using parasites as vessels for control. Its followers, especially true souls, carry special tadpoles that allow them to receive orders and potentially transform into mind flayers instantly. The parasites are part of a larger scheme for domination. A mysterious figure offers help, claiming they share a common enemy and can provide protection. They warn that time is running out and direct the protagonist to infiltrate the cultists gathering at Moonrise Towers, using the parasite's powers to blend in and find the source of the controlling magic. Multiple dream sequences occur where a visitor appears, offering tadpole gifts and urging infiltration of the cult. There are debates about whether to accept these powers, with some viewing them as potentially helpful tools, while others see them as dangerous traps to be avoided. The scene transitions to a tense encounter near water, involving someone trying to pass through a checkpoint. They must convince guards they belong with the Absolute, leading to a cautious escort to a nearby camp. A situation develops involving a trapped true soul named Nier in a rockfall incident. There are complications with payment and slaves, creating tension between different factions. The protagonist must navigate this situation while maintaining their cover. A tense situation unfolds with whispered words hanging in the hot air. Someone is trying to communicate but struggling to get through, mentioning smoke powder and discussing someone who has fled, hoping they won't return. A dramatic revelation occurs about someone named Thula surviving, followed by urgent news about friends being trapped in a cave-in. There is discussion of a potential rescue plan involving explosives. Details emerge about a sapper named Philomene who previously set off an explosion and ran away. They discuss a hidden location marked on a map where Philomene might be found with materials needed to free those trapped in the cave-in. A confrontation occurs with some hostile slavers who are being uncooperative about helping with the cave-in rescue. The interaction becomes heated with both sides exchanging insults and threats. The scene shifts to an archaeological discovery where someone with expertise examines ancient ruins. They notice different construction periods and evidence of a massive creature that caused destruction in the fortress. A tense standoff develops involving Philomene and some smoke powder. There are threats about explosions and discussion of using the powder to help with the cave-in rescue mission. A deal is eventually struck for a single vial. A conflict erupts involving a true soul and revenge demanded by a Myconid sovereign. There are accusations of betrayal and threats of violence against those considered traitors. An emotional reunion takes place with someone named Ron, followed by discussion of debts owed and revelations about someone named Wolverine being taken to Moonrise Towers. Critical information is revealed about rune powder, a powerful explosive formula discovered by Wolverine. The formula was destroyed but remains memorized, making Wolverine a valuable target for the cult. There is a discussion of Death Dark, a dangerous shadow phenomenon that requires moon lanterns to navigate safely. The conversation concludes with personal revelations about serving Lady Shaw as a dark justice. Someone expresses their deep desire to become a dark justicia, seeing it as their calling. However, the Mother Superior of Lady Char's enclave in Baldur's Gate forbade them from proving themselves worthy of this rank. There is uncertainty about whether they will ever be deemed ready for this position. The conversation continues about becoming a dark justicia. They discuss how these figures are often viewed as ruthless fanatics, explaining why such ambitions must be kept secret. The desire had been forgotten until recent events brought it back to mind. The famous wizard Elminster makes an appearance, described as being miffed about walking many miles. Proper introductions are made, identifying him as the most renowned and respected wizard in the realms. Elminster begins to deliver an important message, trying to speak plainly despite his usual elaborate speech patterns. He reveals he comes on behalf of Mystra with an urgent charge and message. The message reveals that the Absolute poses an unprecedented threat, endangering not just mortals, but also gods and the very fabric of the universe. Mystra believes only Gale can destroy it. Elminster explains that Mystra has granted him power to control the orb's destructive potential. Gale must find the heart of the Absolute and use himself as a catalyst to destroy it, essentially sacrificing himself. The scene shifts to someone describing their transformation, noting physical changes including horns and ridges. They express determination to protect people despite their monstrous appearance. The conversation turns to Shadowheart and her devotion to Shar. She explains that Shar took her in when no one else would, viewing her as a mother figure. Her memories are suppressed until she completes Shar's mission. Discussion returns to Mistress' demand for Gale's sacrifice. Some view it as wasteful, while Gale seems to accept it as a solution to their problem. He sees it as a way to clean the slate and right wrongs. Someone has discovered they have an explosive device in their chest, implanted by Mistral. They are being asked to use it to destroy something called the Heart of the Absolute. This revelation leads to discussion about whether following through with such a dangerous and potentially fatal mission is wise or foolish. There is history revealed between two characters and their connection to someone named Zariel. One was forced to be part of Zariel's inner circle, while the other joined by choice. This created a dynamic of jealousy, with one being treated like a pet, while the other envied the attention. Some mysterious markings are discovered that are identified as Githyanki writing. These special texts are described as powerful ancient script where every word forms a wheel. The markings indicate there is a crash, a type of temple, located below that needs to be investigated. A discussion occurs about a Githyanki temple that was built on the remains of slaughtered monks. Someone attempted to purchase eggs from this location, but was chased away. The eggs are revealed to be Githyanki children that a group called the Society of Brilliance wants to raise differently. The group is forcefully taken to meet a captain. There is tension and resistance as they are escorted through doors. The location appears to be on high alert, with cultists maintaining strict security protocols. Inside the facility, there are scenes of harsh training and discipline, including forced combat between soldiers. This reveals the brutal nature of their military structure, where weakness is not tolerated, and soldiers are made to fight to the death as part of their training. A medical examination reveals someone is infected with a tadpole parasite, but showing unusual resistance to its effects. This leads to them being directed to use a device called the Zathisk for supposed treatment, though its true purpose is later revealed to be more sinister. The Zathisk device is used in an attempt to cure the parasite, causing extreme pain and mental anguish. During this process, it becomes clear the device is actually meant for killing rather than curing, collecting memories from the infected before executing them. There are discussions about cultists searching for something called the Astral Prism at Moonrise Towers. Plans for an assault on the tower are being prepared, while concerns about a Mind Flayer invasion are being surprisingly deprioritized. The Grand Design refers to the Illicit Empire's goal of restoring their dominion across the multiverse. Their elder brains have been trying to regain control for centuries, with new abilities like pausing seramorphosis and spreading undetected infections, making them closer than ever to success. The Deathless Queen, Vlokith, appears and addresses her subjects. She shows interest in the Astral Prison weapon, questioning whether its bearer is friend or thief. The weapon is said to be corrupted and contains someone inside who may be working against the Illicit Empire. Inside the Astral Prison exists a pocket of the astral plane described as boundless and timeless. Despite previous warnings, someone has entered to confront the prisoner inside, who claims to be protecting others from the Absolute and knows a dangerous secret about Vlokith. The big secret is revealed. Vlokith is lying to the Githyanki about having the power to defeat the Mind Flayers like Mother Gith did. If this deception was exposed, it would lead to revolution. This same power is what protects against Illicit control. A dramatic confrontation occurs where loyalty to Vlokith is questioned. Some realize they have been deceived about core Githyanki beliefs regarding ascension and purification. The truth about Vlokith's exploitation of her people starts coming to light. A plan is formed to meet at Baldur's Gate in a place called Sher's Caress to determine the fate of the Githyanki people. A warning device called a quanith is provided to detect approaching Githyanki warriors who may be hunting them. The truth about Ascension is exposed. Young Githyanki are raised to slay Illithids as a rite of passage, believing they will be honored with eternal life in Vlakiroth City. However, this may be a lie, with Vlakith actually consuming the Ascended to gain power for herself. A mysterious conversation takes place about a figure trapped in a prism, believed to be connected to something called Lakith's demise and Yankee freedom. The speakers discuss meeting someone named Kithrock Voss at a location called Cheris's Caress in Baldur's Gate, with a warning to stay vigilant. A tense encounter occurs when someone named Namiko meets Jonas in a dark area. There is confusion and difficulty seeing, with voices calling out in the darkness. The atmosphere is dangerous, with mentions of shadows and the need to stay in the light. Someone offers guidance to a safe place protected by magic, explaining it's the only spot not affected by a curse. They warn that shadows are dangerous and light is essential for survival, especially in the outskirts of the region. A discussion about shadow magic ensues, with different perspectives on its nature. While some view it as inherently corrupting, others argue that magic has no inherent morality and depends on the user. Even Mistra, a deity, is mentioned as being neutral about magic's use. A tense interaction occurs with Yahira, who is suspicious despite previous help given. The conversation reveals information about true souls and a mysterious creature hiding secrets. Someone protests they are not a true soul. A quest for a cure is revealed, with Moonrise Towers mentioned as a lead. The group finds alignment in their goals against the cult of the Absolute. Shelter, food, and rest are offered at an inn, with hope that this could be a significant breakthrough. A tragic story unfolds about cultists ambushing and brutally attacking a group, with Roland saving some while others were taken. The survivors struggle with trauma and loss, while maintaining hope for rescuing those taken to Moonrise. A scene at the inn involves a game of lance ball and interactions with various characters, including someone claiming to be Zariella's firstborn. There's tension and underlying darkness in these seemingly casual interactions. A mysterious figure named Raphael appears, discussing a game called Lance Board of Souls and making ominous comments about freedom of choice. A proposal regarding mysterious runes leads to an uncomfortable revelation. Discussion about someone being less affected by a shadow curse, leading to speculation about divine blessing from Lady Shah. The conversation reveals deeper religious and mystical implications. Jahira is revealed to be a legendary figure who helped save Baldur's Gate over a century ago. The conversation shows admiration for her past heroics and current importance to their mission. A breakthrough regarding infernal iron and an insulating chamber brings hope for someone named Karlach. However, there's an ominous warning about an engine being too hot to exist in the material plane indefinitely. A critical discussion takes place about mechanical issues in a cold environment that is causing problems with metal components. There is mention of returning to a furnace in Avernus, though this suggestion is met with resistance due to concerns about being forced back into service under Zaria. The conversation shifts to a more personal tone, discussing freedom versus survival. Despite warnings about an engine potentially failing, there is a strong desire to maintain newfound freedom rather than return to previous constraints, even if it means facing death. The scene changes to involve Floric and discussion of troubles in the Hells. Talk turns to Baldur's Gate, where absolutist attacks are occurring, but the Steel Watch is maintaining control. Lord Gortash is mentioned as having gained significant influence. A social interaction occurs involving drinks and health toasts. The mood is celebratory but cautious, with underlying tension about potential changes and transformations affecting certain individuals. The discussion reveals information about the cult of the Absolute spreading through Baldur's Gate. General Catheric Thorm is identified as the seemingly invincible leader of the Absolutists, who was supposedly killed a century ago but has mysteriously returned. A plan is formed to infiltrate Moonrise Towers using an infection as cover. Isabel, a cleric of Selûne, is introduced as a key ally who maintains protective moon shields around their location. A tense confrontation unfolds when Marcus, revealed to be a compromised Flaming Fist member, attempts to kidnap Isabel under orders from Catheric. This leads to a violent conflict as the group defends against this betrayal. The scene concludes with Mizora assigning a new mission involving the rescue of one of Zariel's assets, a powerful devil being held captive in Moonrise Towers. The stakes are raised with threats of dire consequences for failing this task, including eternal punishment in the Hells. A tense negotiation unfolds over rescuing an asset. The condition for the rescue involves releasing Will from his pact. This creates an interesting dynamic where letting go of control becomes necessary for the mission to succeed. The negotiation continues with references to breaking a devil's contract. Despite some mockery, terms are set that the pact will only be amended after the mission is complete, following strict rules about soul binding and obligations. Concerns are raised about Mizora and her unusual request for a rescue mission. While grateful for the intervention, there is skepticism about being truly freed from the pact. The identity of the devil needing rescue remains unknown. The conversation shifts to personal matters, including Karlach facing mortality, and discussions about Catheric Thorn, whose true allegiances remain unclear despite being a fellow servant. A debate emerges about handling parasitic infections affecting potentially thousands of people. Someone suggests controlling rather than eliminating the parasites, but this idea is firmly rejected as too dangerous. Discussion turns to a shadow curse affecting the land. The curse is linked to a young Fey boy named Daniel, whose freedom might be key to lifting the darkness. Finding traces or witnesses of this curse becomes a priority. The group faces increasing pressure from telepathic waves targeting the infected. Time is running short as transformation orders keep coming, adding urgency to their mission. Plans form to reach Moonrise Towers through deep darkness. A cultist convoy becomes a target for ambush as they seem to have found a way to move freely through the shadows. The team acquires a special lantern that protects against shadows. They encounter a trapped pixie named Dolly, who offers help in exchange for freedom, leading to negotiations about shadow curse protection. An intriguing conversation unfolds between two individuals where one expresses their lifelong desire to be bitten by a vampire. They offer a legendary strength potion as compensation, but the request is firmly declined despite their insistence that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The conversation continues with a private discussion about the person's blood being tainted or unpleasant, which is the real reason for declining. This shows concern and care for maintaining boundaries despite the tempting offer. The scene shifts to introducing a tame gnoll named Barnabas, who has been transformed by the Absolute's power. His wild nature has been rewritten to make him docile. The speaker demonstrates their ability to control Barnabas through divine will. Barnabas is commanded to dance, but something goes wrong. The creature loses its restraint after tasting blood, showing how thin the veneer of control really is. The situation becomes tense as Barnabas reverts to his wild nature. A confrontation occurs with General Thorn about a failed mission to retrieve an important artifact. The general expresses disappointment and unleashes mental energy that fills the room, demonstrating their powerful authority over others. The scene involves showing mercy to some goblins by releasing them, despite potential consequences. This act of compassion stands in contrast to the harsh environment and expectations of absolute obedience. A deep conversation reveals the speaker's connection to the Absolute, claiming to have multiple relationships and discussing how fantasy can become reality through divine power. They emphasize freedom without consequences as their ultimate desire. A mission is assigned involving a crucial relic beneath the Thorn family mausoleum. Balthazar, a trusted advisor, was sent to retrieve it, but contact was lost. The shadows outside pose a significant threat, requiring special equipment like moon lanterns. Discussion about accessing a rooftop chapel reserved for the general's private contemplation. The conversation reveals that service to the Absolute continues even after death, with fallen warriors still having purpose. The scene shifts to a prison area where strict rules prevent speaking with prisoners. Information about Roland being alive at Last Light Inn is shared, suggesting hope and resistance against the current regime. A secret escape plan is discussed with prisoners, including Wolverine and Namiko. They need tools to break through rock and plan to rescue tieflings along the way, highlighting an organized resistance movement forming within the facility. Plans are being made to move stealthily and avoid detection by patrols. The situation appears tense as everyone prepares for their next move, waiting for the right moment when things quiet down. There is clear concern about being spotted by adversaries referred to as bastards who could alert Moonrise forces. A discussion takes place about finding safety, with one person suggesting hiding out on the water. Another mentions a location called the Last Light as a safe haven, though safety is noted as being rare in these dangerous parts. They agree to proceed to this destination. Upon arrival at Last Light, strict entry procedures are enforced. Everyone must be tested for infection before being granted sanctuary. This comes from orders meant to protect those already inside. Despite protests about escaping the Absolute, safety protocols must be followed. A touching reunion occurs between friends, with gratitude expressed for heroic actions. One friend is described as both brave and terrifying in a good way. A meaningful exchange of items takes place as a gesture of appreciation for the rescue. An important figure from the Iron Hand Gnomes reveals their identity and ambitions. They explain their group's history as talented inventors who were banished over a century ago due to involvement with something called Saravox. They now seek to restore their reputation and return to Baldur's Gate. Discussion turns to recent events at Moonrise Towers involving someone named Cathric and ongoing efforts to defeat him. The conversation reflects on the challenges of protecting others and the hope for finding a permanent solution to their current struggles. Information is shared about a powerful curse connected to the goddess Shar. The situation is described as part of an eternal conflict between Selûne and Shar, representing light and dark, with their current location serving as one more battlefield in this divine struggle. A deeply personal memory is shared through a mental connection, showing someone fleeing and finding salvation through Lady Shar. The memory reveals a transformative moment that led to finding a new purpose and home, though details before this event remain unclear. An emotional conversation reveals past trauma and exploitation by someone named Casador. The speaker reflects on personal growth and newfound strength to resist being used by others, marking an important step toward healing and self-respect. The scene concludes with a romantic encounter that maintains respect for traditional courtship. One participant expresses appreciation while maintaining boundaries, emphasizing their belief in proper romance and storytale endings. The interaction ends on a sweet, hopeful note. A mysterious figure, known as Flame Color, has been found wandering in the shadows. This person appears to be suffering from a spiritual condition rather than a physical one, with their mind trapped by the influence of the Shadowfell. Despite being cursed for a century, their spirit remains unbroken. The individual spent extensive time in the Shadowfell, a colorless and lightless realm that severely impacted their mental state. While their mind remains connected to the Shadowfell, there is hope for recovery by helping them remember their identity through personal belongings. They have been holding on to a particular item for 100 years. person shows signs of recognition when mentioning someone named Daniel. Their hands show calluses, suggesting they were skilled with stringed instruments. This connection to Daniel proves significant, as it indicates they have crucial information about his whereabouts. A young girl named Arabella appears, displaying impressive magical abilities from a druid idol. She is searching for her parents after an ambush separated them. Despite being offered shelter at an inn called Last Light, she only trusts 3 people: her parents and the hero who helped her. The scene shifts to a disturbing situation involving the Scalpel Sisters, a group performing questionable medical procedures. They have a warped philosophy about darkness being a cure and light being a source of pain. Their practices involve harmful surgical procedures disguised as healing. The narrative returns to the search for Daniel. A significant clue emerges. The scent of lavender is associated with Samuel, which could help locate Daniel in the Shadowfell. The mission to rescue Daniel requires careful preparation and appears highly dangerous. Daniel is successfully retrieved, but is found to be incomplete. The shadows split him in 2 when taking him to the Shadowfell. Half of his essence remained behind, likely corrupted by darkness over the years. The lack of natural healing and blooming flowers indicates something is seriously wrong. They encounter Oliver, who appears to be Daniel's missing half transformed by the curse. Despite attempts to convince him to reunite with Daniel, Oliver refuses, claiming he has made a new family and enjoys his current existence. The challenge now is to track him down where the curse is strongest. In this emotional scene, a character named Oliver is reluctant to leave a place he considers safe and where he can make his own fun and friends. The setting appears to be a space where Oliver has found comfort, but circumstances are forcing a change. Oliver expresses frustration about having to leave his comfortable space. Someone named Halton is asked to speak with Oliver as they understand the situation best. The conversation reveals that Oliver feels betrayed and resistant to change. A gentle explanation is given to Oliver that while this place is his home, it is actually dark, empty, and lonely. The speaker wants Oliver to reunite with Daniel, suggesting there is unresolved conflict between them that needs healing. The scene shifts to discuss a larger conflict involving shadows and healing of the land. A significant revelation indicates that for complete restoration, someone named Catholic Thor must be eliminated. This appears to be a crucial turning point in the story. A historical account is shared about a past conflict where druids and harpers fought against Catholic Thorn at Moonrise. Though they won, a shadow curse was unleashed, causing widespread devastation and forcing many to flee, including the speaker, who became an archdruid. The narrative takes a poetic turn with a warning about disturbing the peace of the dead. A mysterious figure offers cryptic warnings about dangers ahead, specifically regarding a dangerous infernal creature lurking in darkness that must be killed if encountered. The scene transitions to a grotesque setting involving a corpse and mysterious presence. A character named Balthazar is mentioned, with Sorel having sent someone to find him. The tone becomes increasingly ominous. Balthazar is finally encountered and discusses a mission involving an important relic. He appears dismissive but acknowledges the need for help, offering assistance in the form of his brother Flesh, who can be summoned with a bell. The narrative shifts to describe trials associated with Lady Shaw, involving tests of stealth, combat, and navigation through darkness. These trials are presented as legendary challenges that few could complete. The scene delves into religious or philosophical territory, discussing Shaw as the Mistress of Night and Lady of Loss. The dialogue suggests themes of darkness, oblivion, and returning to nothingness as ultimate truth. A tense conversation unfolds about a contract involving Raphael. The discussion reveals dark undertones about past violence and a binding agreement that has serious consequences. The contract appears to be tied to a mysterious song with deadly implications. The lyrics of a mysterious song contain hidden meanings and dangerous clauses. It becomes clear that anyone who hears this song must die, creating a deadly predicament for all involved. The solution involves dealing with followers who can hear the song. The scene shifts to a temple where Lady Shah's presence is strongly felt. The atmosphere becomes charged with mystical energy as they enter her sacred domain. A sense of both welcome and dread fills the air. A confrontation occurs involving someone named Alien, who is revealed to be more than just a person. They are actually an asma bound to a soul cage. This connection provides immortal strength to someone else, showing the complex supernatural elements at play. A critical moment unfolds where Shadowheart faces a choice about their loyalty to their goddess. The decision involves heavy consequences about duty, life, and personal freedom. The weight of fate hangs in the balance during this crucial moment. After intense events in the Shadowfell, there is a growing concern about Lady Shah's reaction. The atmosphere becomes tense with an unusual silence, leading to worry about potential consequences and the need to reach Moonrise Towers. Shadowheart experiences a traumatic moment of divine punishment for defying their goddess. The pain is described as incredibly intense, leading to their banishment and status as an outcast from their former divine connection. The final revelation unfolds about mysterious scars connecting to an infernal contract between Mephistopheles and Casador. The contract involves a ritual called the Rite of Profane Ascension, which would transform Casador into a vampire ascendant with enhanced powers. The true nature of the ritual is revealed. It requires sacrificing multiple souls, including all vampiric spawn. A key piece of this puzzle involves someone who disappeared, and the scars serve as a binding element to this dark ceremonial process. A tense conversation reveals an ongoing conflict with Casador, establishing the need to confront him directly rather than remain hunted. The situation is complex, with the protagonist realizing they hold a key to power that Casador desperately wants. This creates a dangerous dynamic where escape is impossible without confrontation. A tender moment emerges between companions, with romantic undertones expressed through poetic comparisons to sunlight and music. The chemistry between them is evident as they share hopes for future dances and memories, showing a softer side amidst their dangerous circumstances. The conversation turns to the challenge of defeating vampires, specifically regarding Astarion's master. The group acknowledges their experience in dealing with dangerous fanatics, while also noting the unique connection between Casador and Astarion through flesh markings that act as a contract. Details emerge about Casador's spawn, revealing he created 7 in total. The protagonist was among the first, enduring terrible torture alongside their vampire siblings. Casador is portrayed as a sadistic figure who took pleasure in causing pain while maintaining a twisted family dynamic. A personal history is shared about becoming a druid, involving a childhood connection with nature spirits. The story reveals how this early friendship with nature shaped their destiny as a protector of the natural world. The situation escalates as forces gather at Moonrise Towers to confront Catherick. A strategic plan is formed to secure the ground floor and cut off exits. The moment is recognized as crucial for their mission, with victory and vengeance as primary motivations. A confrontation unfolds revealing betrayals and allegiances. The conflict intensifies around Night Song and the Absolute, leading to a major battle with significant consequences for all involved. The scene shifts to a disturbing underground location where tadpoles are harvested. This area is revealed to be connected to mind flayer activities and infections, showing the dark underbelly of their operations and the horror of their experiments. The discovery of mind flayers and civilians together in pods reveals the infection and transformation process. A telepathic connection through tadpoles enables communication with the system, leading to a crucial moment of resistance against mental control. A dramatic confrontation reveals the truth about a past ambush by cultists. During this attack, there was a moment of weakness where the whispers of a false god offered tempting promises of restored power and purpose. While these empty promises distracted, others fought, fled, and lost their lives. A tense exchange occurs regarding a deal with Mizora, who is revealed to be Zariel's asset. The situation involves complex control mechanisms that require special authorization to operate. After successfully activating the controls using specific commands, the deal appears to have unexpected conditions attached to it. A complicated situation unfolds involving significant power and upcoming business in the towers. The interaction reveals layers of deception and manipulation, with a 6-month timeline being a crucial detail in the arrangement. This leads to an important revelation about Mizora's true identity. A major confrontation erupts between key figures including Gortash and Ketheric. The discussion centers around an army, an astral prism, and competing loyalties. Tensions rise as past decisions and current plans collide, with mentions of a weapon and something called the Edict of Fame. The discovery of an elder brain wearing a uniquely powerful crown creates a dramatic moment. This incredibly dangerous creature has somehow been brought under control by mortal beings, representing an unprecedented display of power and control over such a formidable entity. A tense standoff develops involving Duke Ravengard and the Absolute. Emotional confrontations between key characters lead to crucial decisions about loyalty and destiny. The situation escalates as plans for a march on the city are revealed, with different roles assigned to various participants. A pivotal revelation occurs about Merkel's influence and promises. The discussion centers on the return of a daughter's life in exchange for devoted service, leading to devastating consequences for Faerûn. This sets up an inevitable confrontation over destiny and the possession of a powerful prism. The situation reaches its climax with an intense confrontation. Despite claims of immortality and eternal power, the conflict escalates into a decisive battle. The outcome appears to challenge previous assumptions about invincibility and power dynamics. A dramatic scene unfolds where individuals discuss mastery over death itself. The atmosphere is tense and foreboding, with mentions of being forsaken and warnings about unknown consequences of actions taken. An important discovery reveals that an elder brain is being controlled by a mysterious crown and stones. This elder brain is not acting of its own free will, but is dominated through these artifacts. The crown appears to be particularly significant in controlling this powerful creature. Discussion turns to an infection or parasite problem linked to ancient Netherese magic. The crown atop the elder brain has markings suggesting it was forged in Netheril, an ancient empire with godlike magical abilities. This Netherese magic appears to be enhancing the parasite's capabilities in unexpected ways. 3 powerful chosen ones are identified: followers of Bane, god of tyranny; Baal, god of murder; and Merkel, god of necromancy. These dead 3 gods have granted their chosen ones incredible powers, making them formidable enemies, especially when working together to control the elder brain. The situation becomes more urgent as an army marches toward Baldur's Gate. An elder brain waits within the city, ready to transform citizens into mind flayers. The only hope lies in taking control of the brain from the chosen ones by acquiring their control stones, despite the slim chances of success. The scope of the threat expands to include concerns about Ravengard being held at Worm's Rock Fortress, the Flaming Fist headquarters. The Absolute cult poses a serious danger to not just Baldur's Gate, but all of Faerûn, especially if they can control someone in such a powerful position. The narrative shifts to personal dynamics and preparations for upcoming challenges. Various allies discuss their readiness to confront the threats ahead, drawing on past experiences with both the Dead Three and Mind Flayers, though never having seen them work together before. The scene changes to describe visions of a massive column of fire dominating the sky. Meanwhile, discussions continue about saving Baldur's Gate, which is described as a once great city now eating itself alive and in desperate need of intervention. A philosophical discussion emerges about whether Mind Flayers possess souls, leading to deeper questions about the Dead Three's alliance with these creatures. The situation is presented as having cosmic implications that even make the gods themselves uneasy. A mysterious being discusses being freed from a painful bond with someone named Thorn. They sense the person they are speaking to has similar bonds tethering them to two distant others. Shadowheart wants to reveal something important through a mental connection. A ritual of Luna's followers is described where children are sent into woods to find their way home. One child never returned. The conversation reveals shocking truth. The listener has living parents who were followers of the Moon Maiden. Their adoptive family had taken and manipulated them as a child. The being offers help and warns that former allies, mentors, and friends will now be enemies. They present the Spear of Night, retrieved from Shar's domain, explaining that whatever Shar claims, Selûne has equal right to. The weapon is offered as repayment of a debt. The story shifts to events from when the speaker was 17. While their father, a Grand Duke, was away in El Terrell, the cult of the dragon infiltrated Baldur's Gate. The cult planned to summon Tiamat to destroy the city. Following a mysterious whisper, they went alone to Duskhawk Hill. At the hill, cultists performed rituals with dragon totems. Mizora appeared and offered a deal, the speaker's soul in exchange for power to save the city. The deal was witnessed by devils and accepted, leading to a fierce battle where cultists were defeated with hellish powers. The listener processes the revelation about their past deception and living parents. They express determination to save their parents while acknowledging the painful truth that may still be hidden by Shar. Before moving forward, they mention having something important to address. Discussion turns to Casador's ritual. Though he appears publicly as a reclusive noble in Baldur's Gate with a grand palace, the ritual location remains unknown. They consider asking citizens or other spawn for information, refusing to make another deal with Raphael. An emotional conversation about Catherick Thorn reveals he was a father figure who served Selûne. The speaker fell in love with Dame Aelin, an immortal emissary of Selûne, but after dying mysteriously, they awakened to find Thorn transformed into something horrific. The truth about the Absolute is revealed. It is not a deity, but rather an elder brain working with the Dead Three gods. They aim to control everyone carrying a tadpole along the Sword Coast, potentially creating an army of mind flayers with a single command. A critical confrontation occurs around Githyanki, who has been providing protection against the Absolute. This protection must be maintained, or all progress made could be lost. A mysterious figure claims to be the true protector, appearing in dreams. The mysterious protector reveals themselves as the Emperor, formerly from Baldur's Gate. Originally human, they were transformed into a mind flayer at Moonrise Towers, but managed to break free and establish themselves as a powerful figure in the criminal underworld. The battle revolves around Prince Orpheus, son of Gith, who was believed dead but actually imprisoned. His power disrupts hive mind communication, protecting against the Absolute, the same power his mother used against the Illicit Empire ages ago. The Emperor suggests embracing the Tadpole transformation as a strategic advantage, offering to trigger the next stage while preserving independence. They present it as an evolution rather than corruption, claiming the benefits outweigh any changes. The true history of Orpheus unfolds. He led a coup against Vlaakith, the current ruler of the Githyanki. Though officially recorded as slain in battle, he was actually imprisoned. His freedom could spark a civil war among the Githyanki. Vlaakith kept Orpheus alive because of his unique ability to disrupt Illicit hive minds, making him both a powerful weapon and shield. However, his potential to overthrow her rule now makes him too dangerous to keep alive as she pursues her own path to godhood. A mind flare has been discovered inside an artifact called the Astral Prism. Despite witnessing it firsthand, its true purpose remains confusing and mysterious. The mission has shifted away from serving Shah and the Mother Superior, with the new focus being on saving parents and dealing with Casador. Casador is planning a grand ceremony called the Rites of Profane Ascension. This imperial event will be attended by devils and spawn, meant to elevate him to an incredibly powerful vampiric position where people will willingly submit to him. There is strong envy towards Casador's power and position. Plans are being made to eliminate him and take his place before the ritual can be completed. The other spawn bound to the ritual are seen as expendable, especially after 200 years of servitude. A strategic approach is suggested to learn more about the ritual by tracking down former comrades and other spawn who may have valuable information. They likely need to be found quickly before they become a threat. A powerful Netherese crown has been discovered that contains unusually pure and complete magic, unlike most artifacts from that era, which retain only faint power. This is particularly significant since most items of its kind were destroyed with Netheril. Plans are made to visit Sorceress Sundry's, a prestigious bookshop with rare tomes, to research the powerful crown. The collection may hold crucial information about Netherese artifacts that could help solve their current problems. Intense anger and betrayal is expressed towards someone who served Bane and gave them away to Zariel. Their actions threaten the entire Sword Coast, and revenge is strongly desired. The situation is complicated by an overheating engine that needs fixing. Jaheira is discussed as a formidable and cunning ally known from past battles. While they never directly fought together, her reputation precedes her, and her skills could prove valuable in facing current challenges. Personal history is shared about family loss and life in the High Forest. At 350 years old, they have had various relationships but maintain a strong connection to nature, though sometimes with humorous consequences involving wild animals. Discussion about illithids reveals personal experience with their hive mind. Warning is given about the Elder Brain, describing it as a dangerous predator despite being enslaved itself. The scene opens with a discussion about Dame Eileen and her celestial powers. She has already committed her sword to aid in the fight against tyranny. Her might and wisdom are praised as essential tools for freeing the land from oppression. A century-old romance is revealed between the speaker and Isabel. Their love was opposed by her father Catherick, who disapproved of an immortal suitor. After Isabel's tragic death, Catherick, consumed by grief, turned to the Lady of Loss, Shah, for comfort. Catherick and his advisor Balthazar deceived and trapped the immortal being in the Shadowfell. There, they repeatedly killed them to feed on their immortality. Despite the endless cycle of death and rebirth, which was their nature, they endured continuous torture. A touching interaction occurs with a lost child looking for their mother Emery, who disappeared while gathering herbs. A kind soul offers the child some coins to help them survive until they can find their parent. A tense situation develops with Arthur and his hired caravan guards regarding the removal of squatters. The guards demand extra payment for handling this unofficial task, leading to negotiations and rising tensions. A confrontation with the Guild, a criminal organization that controls various illegal activities in the city, ends in the protagonist's favor after they mention defeating an avatar of miracle. The intimidated guild members quickly retreat. The displaced family's situation is resolved as they gain permission to stay in their current shelter. The owner reluctantly agrees after being convinced to show compassion, though he leaves to drown his frustrations in drink. A mysterious encounter reveals connections to Shadow Hearts Club and discussions of faith and loyalty. The protagonist learns about their parents' possible survival and is directed to the House of Grief in the lower city for answers. The scene shifts to the Circus of the Last Days, where a ghoul named Benji screens visitors for safety. Despite its unusual security measures, the circus promises joy and distraction from worldly troubles. Various circus characters are introduced, including a merchant selling face paints and a wheel game operator who's caught cheating. The atmosphere is both magical and slightly sinister, with various attractions and vendors. A theatrical circus scene unfolds with a charismatic ringmaster guiding performers. The ringmaster, a wine enthusiast and self-proclaimed master of ceremonies, oversees skeleton performers while maintaining an air of dramatic flair. The atmosphere is filled with dark humor and theatrical elements as the ringmaster directs the show. A magic show segment begins with a call for volunteers. The performer seeks someone brave for their trick, building suspense and excitement in the audience. The chosen volunteer approaches the stage as tension builds, with dramatic music and applause filling the atmosphere. The performer engages with the audience, focusing on making each person feel special, particularly targeting one individual. The interaction takes an ominous turn as something unseen approaches, creating a sense of unease and anticipation. A disturbing revelation occurs involving an impersonator of Dribbles, a beloved circus performer. The real Dribbles is known for charming animals and making puns, unlike this imposter. The ringmaster expresses concern about losing staff and needs to relocate the circus, but cannot leave without finding Dribbles. A mysterious hand is discovered near the circus, claimed to be special with unique markings. The hand is believed to belong to Dribbles, adding to the mystery of the missing performer. The situation becomes more complex as connections to a larger conspiracy begin to emerge. The scene shifts to a temple where Father Logan has been murdered. Different perspectives emerge about the killing, with some blaming a refugee named Baldur, while others defend him. The situation reflects growing tensions between refugees and city authorities. A dark investigation reveals details about ritualistic killings. Evidence suggests the involvement of a talented but careless killer who uses poison. The victims experience paralysis before death, creating a horrifying scene of frozen terror. The story moves to city gates where strict refugee restrictions are being enforced. A mysterious Steel Watcher, serving Lord Gortash, confronts visitors with supernatural awareness of their past actions. The machine demonstrates advanced capabilities and threatens those it deems enemies. The once welcoming city has become restrictive and oppressive. A resistance movement forms, including various factions determined to overthrow Gortash's tyrannical regime, despite limited numbers and resources. A serious discussion about the Steel Watch reveals them as a major threat to everyone in the city. These supposedly civilized servants actually work for one person, the future Grand Duke. Once he gains power, personal freedoms will disappear, and people could face accusations before even committing crimes. The Gondians are identified as being responsible for this situation. The conversation shifts to the dangerous nature of the Steel Watch, comparing a single member to being as powerful as a red dragon. Despite there never being an army of dragons, the Steel Watch represents an unprecedented threat. The Guardians have created these forces and historically provided their technology to oppressive rulers in exchange for freedom to continue their work. A plan is proposed to stop the threat by targeting the Foundry, where these dangerous forces are produced. The Iron Hands are confident in their ability to counter anything the facility builds. A special weapon has been created, a unique rune powder bomb with incredible destructive power that could solve their problems. The mission details are laid out. The foundry is located in the lower city near the docks, identifiable by its constant smoke emissions. The plan involves infiltrating the facility, placing the bomb at its core, and getting back to street level before the explosion occurs. The conversation reveals personal drama, including a complicated relationship with Philomene, who apparently ended things indirectly. The person feels inadequate compared to others, but shows determination to improve their abilities. A reporter from the Baldur's Mount Gazette requests an interview, noting the subject's celebrity status. The conversation touches on recent exploits, including the defeat of General Catheric Thorn. The reporter shows surprising knowledge of supposedly secret events. The scene shifts to a tense confrontation involving secrets and threats. Someone possesses the Bone Lord's stone, and warnings are exchanged about deception and upcoming conflict. The dialogue becomes more menacing, with promises of violence. A devil named Raphael enters the narrative, with someone desperately seeking his help for their people. Raphael indicates that others present share similar goals and might have something valuable to offer in exchange. Raphael demonstrates his power by clearing the protagonist's mind of an illicit influence, offering privacy for their conversation. He presents himself as someone who can resolve the Tadpole situation and prevent tentacled transformations. The deal involves exchanging an artifact called the Orphic Hammer for a powerful crown. This arrangement could potentially save the city and possibly the world. The crown is revealed to be an ancient artifact from the fallen empire of Netheril, capable of granting godlike powers. A tense confrontation about preventing Raphael from becoming an archdevil supreme. The situation involves a blood war and concerns about Mephistopheles, a devil known for slaying his own son. Discussion centers on using an Orphic hammer to break bonds and achieve freedom. Raphael had been blocking mental communication between characters. A deal was offered, leading to tension and concerns about privacy. Threats were made involving an astral prism and the Hells, highlighting the delicate nature of their alliance. Debate over making deals with devils to free Orpheus. The stakes involve a powerful crown and potential chaos across multiple planes. The discussion emphasizes the lengths some will go to free their people, with physical scars serving as proof of dedication. Details about Raphael's probable location, suggesting he has a luxurious sanctuary that caters to his vices. The focus shifts to finding the Orphic hammer and dealing with the Elder Brain threat. Characters express relief at returning to a familiar city. A tense meeting takes place at a Harper safe house, with characters exchanging formal greetings under Seluna's tears. Suspicions arise about potential traitors and doppelgangers, leading to a confrontation about loyalty and identity. A young Harper is advised to leave the dangerous life of service. The conversation reveals Orin's strategy to isolate and separate the Harpers, making it impossible to trust anyone outside their immediate circle. A personal story unfolds about Minsk, a hero from the time of troubles. The narrative reveals a painful choice made in the past, leaving a friend behind during a chaotic encounter with cultists and mind flayers. The scene shifts to a restricted area where access is controlled due to Lord Gortash's ordination as Archduke. Despite initial resistance, characters manage to gain entry through various means. A dramatic meeting with Lord Gortash, who controls the city and issues an invitation to his inauguration. The situation remains tense but peaceful under the watch of Steel Watchers. The segment reveals concerns about controlling a powerful brain entity and its potential consequences. Discussion of netherstones and their importance in maintaining control, with warnings about a treacherous chosen one seeking blood. A warning is issued about a dangerous shapeshifter named Orin who can change form quickly and has targeted many before. She poses a serious threat as she seeks the 3 nether stones, which could bring chaos and bloodshed to the city if obtained. The speaker aims to lead the city to glory rather than destruction. A divine pact is proposed between parties, promising mutual non-aggression and protection from the Steel Watch. The deal includes keeping the Thornstone and bringing Orinstone once she's defeated. The ultimate goal is to rule Faerûn together as absolute rulers, with complete control over all subjects, including family members. The speaker appears sincere about sharing power and warns of a compromised camp situation with a faceless imposter present. This infiltrator poses an immediate threat that must be dealt with quickly to maintain any potential alliance. Advice is given about finding Orin through her home base. A hidden temple dedicated to Baal in Baldur's Gate serves as Orin's hideout. The broader plan involves creating panic through killings, utilizing monstrous armies, and manipulating people's fear to establish control. The strategy aims to make people willingly grant power to those promising protection and order. A ceremony takes place where an individual becomes the Archduke of Baldur's Gate, swearing oaths to protect citizens and maintain faith and loyalty. The Steel Watch is established as the enforcement arm against any who would threaten the city. A devil named Mizora reveals that someone named Gortash has relocated an important father figure. This creates a tense situation requiring difficult choices about how to proceed and save the captive parent. A dramatic contract negotiation occurs with infernal powers. 2 options are presented: pledge one's soul to save the father, or break the existing pact resulting in the father's death. The choice centers on personal sacrifice versus family loyalty. After accepting the soul-binding deal, information is provided about the father's location in Gortash's secret prison. Despite the heavy personal cost, there's hope for rescuing the imprisoned parent, though complications exist due to a tadpole situation. Various reactions to the Soul Pact decision emerge from different companions. The narrative shifts to multiple objectives, including finding the House of Hope, retrieving an Orphic hammer, and dealing with the Sharan's presence in Baldur's Gate. A tense situation unfolds involving someone being held captive. The captor claims they will help guide their prisoner through upcoming challenges. There is mention of a horror threatening the city, with allies pledging their support to confront this threat. Details emerge about Will's new role as a hunter for Zariel, targeting infernal beings, demons, and deserters. The arrangement specifies that Will can only pursue wicked targets as long as they follow the terms of their agreement. Discussion turns to Karlach, who was spared due to Zariel finding new use for her against the Dead Three. The mysterious figure offers to help against a threatening entity referred to as the Brain. A young girl named Jana seeks shelter, explaining her mother hasn't returned. She's welcomed in and offers to cook in exchange for staying, showing a touching moment of kindness amid darker circumstances. An encounter with Estraster, a journalist from the Baldur's Gate Gazette, reveals plans to publish a story about the protagonist. The journalist is secretive about the content, but suggests it will be controversial. A complex situation develops involving a printer and its magical nature. The printer, inhabited by a fey creature, discusses changing an upcoming negative article about someone, showing the power of controlling narrative in Baldur's Gate. A confrontation occurs between Karlach and someone from her past who sent her to the Hells and gave her heart to Zariel. The encounter reveals deep betrayal and promises of future vengeance. Discovery of a secret underwater prison system used by Gortash to hold Gondian hostages. This facility helps control workers in the Steel Watch Foundry and connects to the Iron Throne. The Iron Throne is revealed as a tool for controlling the Gondian workforce. Gortash threatens consequences for trespassing, putting lives at stake, including Duke Ravengard's father. The mission concludes with the rescue of Duke Ravengard and other hostages from the Iron Throne, though many didn't survive. The Duke appears confused, but safe under protection, with his mind finally free from control. An intense confrontation occurs where emotions run high, as a son is defended as being heroic for saving lives. The scene involves powerful supernatural elements, including raven gods and references to an exhausted Grand Duke, setting up a dramatic family dynamic. A debt of gratitude is expressed by someone who plans to return to the surface and alert colleagues at the society. They offer future aid against an unnamed threat. The atmosphere is one of relief mixed with regret over those who didn't survive. Information is revealed about hostages being kept at the Steel Watch Foundry to control families and force them to build weapons for someone named Gortash. There is hope that exposing this truth will inspire rebellion and weaken Gortash's power. A confusing interaction occurs with a Steel Watcher that mistakes someone for being malfunctioning machinery. This reveals that one character, Karlach, shares similarities with these mechanical units and is apparently a prototype for them. The scene becomes tense as accusations of lies and conspiracies are thrown around. Someone is identified as infected, leading to threats of cleansing and burning away falsehoods. The crowd becomes increasingly hostile. Plans are made regarding the Neurocider, described as the nerve center of the Steel Watch. A rune powder bomb is suggested as a solution, with urgent warnings to flee quickly after placement. The stakes are clearly high for this mission. The aftermath of a major explosion is described, with Steel Watchers collapsing throughout the city. The foundry is severely damaged, marking a significant victory, though concerns remain about remaining parasitic threats to Baldur's Gate. A dramatic confrontation unfolds involving betrayal and enslavement. References are made to powerful beings who can move mountains and snuff out stars, suggesting an epic scale to the conflict. An emotional father-son conflict comes to light, involving betrayal, monsters, and twisted loyalties. The pain of familial bonds being tested by supernatural forces creates a heartbreaking scenario. Through shared memories, truth is revealed about past actions involving partnerships with infernal forces to protect Baldur's Gate from threats. This leads to understanding and potential reconciliation between father and son. A discussion reveals the existence of an ancient bronze dragon sleeping beneath Baldur's Gate. Known as the Worm, the Waiting Storm, and the Heart of the Gate, this dragon made a promise to protect the city in times of extreme danger. Though the city has faced many threats before, the current threat from the Absolute is deemed the greatest ever, necessitating the dragon's awakening. An ancient epic called the Legend of Ancilla is presented as a guide to finding and awakening the dragon. The path leads to Worm's Rock Prison, which contains the entrance to the Wormway. To awaken the dragon, torches must be lit in a specific way. A touching moment of family reconciliation is described, with complex emotions of joy, relief, and anxiety being expressed. The possibility of returning to Baldur's Gate as home is contemplated, though the future remains uncertain. Lae'zel's transformation is explored as she processes the loss of her former identity and aspirations. Despite the bitterness of loss, she finds strength in new alliances and commitments, particularly to Orpheus Kars and the liberation of the Githyanki. personal history with Gortash is revealed, describing how a street brawler became a trusted guard. The relationship turned sour when Gortash betrayed them to Zariel, resulting in painful transformation and feelings of deep betrayal. A dire warning about Baal, the Lord of Murder, and his chosen one Orin is shared. The Slayer, a dangerous beast form, threatens Baldur's Gate. A book by wizard Irenicus containing knowledge to defeat the Slayer is offered as crucial help. The aftermath of Catherine's death and the removal of the Netherstone is discussed. The Elder Brain shows signs of rebellion against Orin and Gortash, causing concern about the potential consequences of an unleashed Elder Brain. A poignant conversation reveals memories of Benin, a former business partner from the Knights of the Shield. Their partnership was crucial in managing city affairs, highlighting the importance of trust and collaboration in their operations. A tense conversation begins about someone looking injured. The discussion quickly shifts to information about the Night Song and meeting with Leroykin, a wizard known for his fierce temper. Visitors are directed upstairs to his tower, where great riches await those with valuable information about the Night Song. Multiple descriptions of the Night Song are revealed. It could be a potion that makes the drinker irresistibly attractive, a druidic staff commanding ancient beasts, a priceless ruby from another realm, or potentially an immortal being born of a deity. A confrontational meeting occurs with Leroykin, who demands proof of the Night Song's whereabouts. The conversation reveals the Night Song is actually a she, and there are connections to Shah's temple and the Shadowfell. The tension escalates as Leroykin grows impatient. Discussion turns to magical items and past attempts to capture the Night Song. Mention of a warlock named Catherick who failed in his attempt. Leroykin reveals his selfish motivations and desire for godlike power, dismissing concerns about the consequences. The scene shifts to a library containing rare and dangerous magical texts. Special attention is given to the annals of Karsus and information about an attempt to overthrow the goddess Mystra. The books are kept secure in a vault, with access strictly controlled. Important revelations about Karsus' crown and its connection to Elder Brain are discussed. The possibility of wielding godlike power through these artifacts creates tension around upcoming decisions and conflicts. Dame Eileen, revealed to be the Night Song, learns of Leroykin's bounty and plans for her capture. She decides to confront him directly, showing no fear despite the threat. Her ally offers support for the confrontation. The confrontation between Dame Eileen and Leroykin begins. His attempt to manipulate her through false respect and promises of sharing power fails. The situation escalates into conflict as his true intentions are revealed. The conflict concludes with Leroykin's defeat. Dame Eileen delivers a powerful speech about her indomitable nature and warning to those who would try to cage her. The victory marks a strong statement against those who would attempt to control her. In the aftermath, emotions are mixed as the group processes Leroykin's death. The story concludes with Roland, a former apprentice, taking control of the tower and planning to make it a home for his family, marking a positive change from Leroykin's cruel leadership. A tense conversation takes place where someone pledges allegiance and promises to learn everything about a tower, declaring that Ramos's tower and its master will stand as allies when needed. The tone suggests an important strategic alliance being formed during a time of crisis. The scene shifts to a confrontation where hostile forces are approaching. Someone named Lizelle of Kalir faces off against an opponent interested in claiming an artifact called the Astral Prism, which they plan to present to their leader, Queen Vlaakith. The situation is super intense. The conflict escalates as they argue about the true purpose of the prism. One side claims it contains the key to freedom, while the other sees it as a means to gain favor with the Lich Queen. The debate centers around Orpheus, who is referred to as the Githyanki's legitimate prince. After an intense battle, someone compliments the handling of a relentless opponent. They direct attention to a hidden passage concealed by a statue, offering guidance through the secret way. The mood shifts from combat to exploration. The scene transitions to a nostalgic moment as someone returns to their hometown. They discover their old belongings, including various disguises and personal items. Each object triggers memories and reflects on their past lifestyle and choices. A dramatic escape sequence begins as someone warns about an approaching threat. The conversation reveals dark past trauma involving torture, cursed blood, and forced transformation into a beast. The guilt over past actions weighs heavily. The scene involves a confrontation about a netherstone with taunting and threats. The situation becomes more complex as it involves multiple parties, including Halsin, and references to Baal's temple. The tension builds as various interests clash over power and control. The narrative shifts to a conversation between vampires preparing for a black mass. They discuss their hopes for freedom and reveal disturbing plans for celebration. The dialogue exposes their desperate situation and misplaced trust in their master. The action moves to an infiltration scene at Casador's palace. The characters encounter charmed guards and manage to talk their way past security. The atmosphere is tense as they navigate through the theatrical and dramatic setting. The final sequence reveals the emotional impact of returning home and plans for confrontation. The characters discuss Casador's loyal servants and the presence of Godin, who holds a key role. The tension builds toward an inevitable showdown. The scene opens in what appears to be a dark and sinister location. There are mentions of someone named Goldie and a new friend being brought. The atmosphere is tense and eerie, with references to screaming and being kept in line. A discussion occurs about delivering Astarion, but access is being denied as the master cannot be disturbed. The doors are sealed, and someone named Goldie refuses to open them. There's tension around a ritual that requires Astarion. A door with intricate text is discovered, featuring a small round hole with a family crest. The writing matches a previously found dictionary in Casador's script. A ring fits perfectly into the hole, allowing access. An old elevator platform is revealed, showing signs of age and evidence of things being dragged across it over time. This area is identified as Casador's private quarters, where unfortunate souls were brought to feed him. Prison cells are discovered containing people in horrible conditions. The prisoners all have mysterious runes carved into their flesh, revealing they were part of a ritual. These people were previous conquests who were turned into spawn. A confrontation occurs with Casador, who is revealed to be cruel and manipulative. The ritual requires 7 spawn and thousands of souls bound to them in blood. The situation becomes increasingly tense as past trauma is revealed. A major conflict erupts between Casador and his creation. The ritual's true nature is exposed. Those bearing the scars would be sacrificed if completed. A moral choice presents itself about whether to complete the ritual or free the prisoners. After Casador's defeat, attention turns to the fate of the imprisoned spawn. A decision is made to release them, giving them a chance at freedom despite the risks. They are directed to escape through tunnels into the Underdark. The aftermath reveals complications as monster hunters arrive, led by Alma. They confront the protagonist about releasing thousands of spawn, though the decision is defended as saving innocents. The hunters learn their missing children were among those transformed. The protagonist acknowledges nearly losing themselves to power, but chose a better path, breaking a centuries-old cycle of terror and control. There's a sense of both relief and uncertainty about the future. The opening reflects on personal growth and acceptance, describing how someone provided support and belief, making everything feel possible for the future. This transformative experience led to a new path of genuine freedom, marking a significant personal breakthrough. A discussion about mistress attention being caught by the reforging of an artifact. The weave is explained as a sensitive magical network throughout all life, where any magical energy shift acts like a beacon. Opening the Annals of Castor's book was like sending a magical signal directly to Mistra. A journey to the Stormshore Tabernacle is planned for an overdue conversation. There is pride expressed about historians' personal growth and how they maintained their integrity despite facing darkness and challenges. Their accomplishments include crossing between planes and surviving multiple near-death experiences. A conversation about locating the Temple of Baal from a century-old battle. The temple lies in an ancient maze beneath Baldur's Gate, though the exact path is uncertain. The suggestion is made to either search the area or find a Baalite to lead the way. A reunion scene where allies discuss recent victories and share plans. They mention a Selûnite enclave outside the city that survived battles with the Absolute armies. There's a promise to provide help and stand together against future challenges to save the city. A mind flayer reveals their true nature and explains how they adapted their methods to gain trust. Initially viewing their relationship as an experiment, they came to genuinely enjoy their companion's company. They discuss the Elder Brain's growing power and control over the city. The narrative shifts to discussing Nine Fingers, a powerful figure in Baldur's Gate's criminal underworld. Various characters mention business dealings and potential conflicts with a new rival called the Stone Lord, who has taken over significant territory in the city. Nine Fingers is revealed as running a sophisticated criminal operation from the Guild Hall. The discussion involves territorial disputes, particularly regarding an orphanage and conflicts with the Stone Lord. Nine Fingers shows particular interest in maintaining control over their territory. The conversation concludes with tensions around handling the Stone Lord situation. Nine Fingers refuses to call off an ambush, while others offer to handle it themselves. There is mention of bigger conflicts ahead and discussion about accessing vaults beneath the counting house. The scene begins in a counting house where head clerk Mead Honey is nervously interacting with visitors. The clerk mentions having difficult customers, particularly someone calling themselves the Stone Lord, who is taken to the vaults by the head banker, despite being heavily armed against regulations. The visitors claim to be servants of the Stone Lord, describing him as a lord of Rashman who needs to set up a banquet table. The clerk, though initially skeptical, accepts their explanation and provides them with a temporary vault pass, warning them that they forfeit protection of city and church law upon entering. A discussion follows about power dynamics, suggesting that while heroes and powerful figures exist, true power lies in wealth and strategic influence rather than glory. The scene emphasizes how money and connections truly control events in this world. The situation turns dangerous as it becomes clear there is no gold in the vault. A confrontation ensues, revealing some form of deception or trap. The Stone Lord and his followers apparently have connections to a group called the Absolute. After a confrontation, it is revealed that the Stone Lord has cleared out the civilian vaults, stealing a significant amount of gold. The theft affects common Baldurians, with the gold apparently being needed by a cult rather than the Stone Lord himself. The banker offers a reward for retrieving the stolen coin, explaining the severity of the situation for Baldur's Gate citizens. Meanwhile, another character expresses fatigue with deception and false faces, particularly concerned about someone named Minsk. The narrative shifts to an intense psychological scene involving mental influence and resistance. There is mention of an elder brain and a protective measure needed against its influence, suggesting mind control or psychic elements at play. The scene introduces Minsk and his companion Boo, a hamster. Their reunion is emotional and significant, with Minsk displaying both warrior-like qualities and a childlike innocence. They agree to join forces to fight evil in Baldur's Gate. The next segment reveals political intrigue involving the Zhentarim and their plans to take control from Nine Fingers. They claim to want to drive the Absolute out of the city, though their motivations appear complex and potentially self-serving. A conversation takes place about a new office setup and a successful deal. The discussion reveals that a network called the Zhentarim has gained significant influence in Baldur's Gate, primarily focused on breaking a guild monopoly on trade. The deal promises military support when battle comes, with a newly appointed sword captain leading the forces. The conversation shifts to a lighter moment about observing a squirrel in a tree, leading to a brief mention of someone named Halsin, a druid. The discussion reveals signs of memory problems when one participant cannot remember where they live or basic details about their past, suggesting some form of memory manipulation. The scene moves to the House of Grief, where Shadowheart confronts consequences of past actions. The facility claims to help those with emotional burdens through a process called the mapping of the heart. They present it as a healing method, comparing their work to removing tumors, though there are hints of darker purposes. A tense interaction occurs with Mother Superior Viconia de Vere, revealing a complex history of betrayal and mission failure regarding an important artifact. The confrontation escalates as Shadowheart refuses to surrender, rejecting an offer of alliance with Lady Shar's forces. A shocking revelation comes to light about Shadowheart's past. Her parents were kept prisoner and forced to watch as she was repeatedly manipulated and had her memories erased. This cruel treatment was part of a larger plan by Lady Shar to transform Shadowheart into a replacement for a high-ranking position. An emotional reunion occurs between Shadowheart and her long-lost parents. However, the joyful moment is complicated by Lady Shar's continued influence and a difficult choice that must be made between freeing her parents or breaking Shar's curse on herself. In a heart-wrenching decision, Shadowheart chooses to end her parents' suffering while breaking free from Shar's influence. The scene ends with mysterious lights appearing, suggesting her parents' spirits will continue to watch over her as guides in dark places. The scene involves a heated discussion about a situation involving Minsk and a cult in the city. There are accusations about poor judgment, leading to the city being under siege and its people being poisoned. The conversation reveals strained relationships and forced separations due to past actions. The concept of berserker warriors and their lifelong bonds with wise women of Rashomon is discussed. Each berserker serves as a dedicated bodyguard, representing the highest honor in their culture. However, this particular situation differs from traditional customs. The dynamic between the characters is explored, highlighting how each person has their own way of handling situations. When one charges in recklessly, the other finds ways to resolve the resulting chaos. Despite their differences, they maintain an unusual but effective partnership. Shadowheart faces the emotional aftermath of having to confront her parents. While the burden of these memories weighs heavily, there is hope that she will find peace, knowing their suffering has ended. Her actions, though difficult, were necessary and driven by love. A character reflects on the risks taken to help one individual, despite the larger threat of the Absolute looming over thousands. Rather than criticism, gratitude is expressed for this compassionate choice, acknowledging how personal battles can align with greater causes. A A revelation occurs regarding Minsk and the Stone Lord being the same person, leading to deep philosophical contemplation about the nature of good and evil existing within all beings. The discussion touches on how villains might also serve as protectors. A poignant moment occurs in an abandoned place of worship, where Shadowheart processes her identity and loss. She grapples with her dual identity and concludes that her chosen name still suits her, recognizing that shadows require light to exist. A grateful acknowledgement is made for the safe return of someone, with a lighthearted exchange about the relative dangers of reading books versus fieldwork. Plans are discussed to return to the Underdark to continue important research. A reward situation is discussed, with considerations given to seeking aid from the Underdark against a cult. Due to limited influence, items from society vaults are offered instead, though their exact location seems uncertain. A disturbing scene unfolds with Oscar showing signs of possession, speaking cruel words to his loved one. Despite the harsh treatment, his partner maintains that his actions are not his own and seeks help in subduing him gently. The situation with Oscar worsens after his wedding, with supernatural occurrences, including bleeding walls and violent behavior. His spouse seeks help, revealing that the changes began in his atelier, which seems to have become a focal point of the supernatural activity. A mysterious mansion near the water belongs to a spirit medium who provides exclusive services to nobility. The entrance is discreet, pulsing with melancholic magic that connects the living and dead. The door requires specific permission to enter. Upon entering without an appointment, you encounter Mystic Cherion, a spirit medium who bridges the void between living and unliving. They typically only serve high society clients who can afford their specialized services and appreciate them properly. The discussion turns to Oscar, a client who has become possessed. Cherion admits to facilitating contact with a tormented spirit, but claims no fault in Oscar's current state, suggesting safety guarantees would have cost extra. Cherion offers to help with an exorcism, but requires a favor first: the return of Thrombo, a zombie servant who is deserted along with others. Thrombo is described as one of several reanimated corpses in Cherion's service. Thrombo is located and reveals dark secrets about Mystic Cherion, including murder and abuse. He explains that Cherion is likely a mummy lord, an immortal being who keeps their heart in a jar. A previous escape attempt by another zombie named Talus ended tragically. A necromantic ritual document is discovered, revealing that Cherion's life force is preserved in a canopic jar hidden inside one of the zombies. The jar turns out to be hidden inside Thrombo himself. The jar is successfully destroyed, effectively ending Cherion's control and immortality. Thrombo expresses gratitude and offers help with Oscar's possession problem. Using a torch of revocation, the possessing spirit is confronted. The spirit is revealed to be Carrie, who explains she had taken her own life due to personal struggles, not because of Oscar as he had believed. Oscar reconciles with his wife Ferelia after understanding the truth about Carrie. They agree to move past this difficult episode and focus on their future together. As a reward, Oscar offers to paint a portrait titled The Ghost Whisperer to commemorate the successful resolution of the possession case. A conversation begins with someone revealing themselves as a diabolist who serves as Mammon's lockkeeper of the 9 hells. Their specialty is breaking people into the hells, not dealing in information or hellish curiosities. The discussion turns to gaining access to the House of Hope, which the diabolist considers a fascinating but dangerous proposition. A deal is proposed involving Raphael's artifacts in exchange for waiving a fee. The diabolist agrees despite believing the task is nearly impossible. They request gauntlets of hill giant strength from the House of Hope as part of the arrangement. The terms are set for free passage in exchange for retrieving the gauntlets. The Diabolist outlines strict conditions, complete deniability, and self-performed rites. They provide a grimoire, components, and a key to access an upstairs ritual room with a pre-drawn blood circle. Written instructions are given, with emphasis on absolute secrecy. A mysterious figure appears, identified as Hope, who speaks in riddles and metaphors. Hope describes herself as a guttering candle in a universe of night, suggesting she is diminished from what she once was. She offers friendship and guidance through the House of Hope. Hope provides guidance about surviving in the house, warning that everyone there is dangerous, but also foolish. She offers to create a glamour to help blend in among the other wretched souls. The conversation reveals the location of the Orphic Hammer in the archive. An encounter with an architect reveals their tragic history involving a master named Cathric Tom. The architect made a deal with Raphael to stop their master's destructive army, trading their soul in the process. The story ends with confirmation that Moonrise Towers still stands, though hollow. Hope provides crucial information about dealing with the Archivist, revealing they fear someone named Beryllius Receptor, a High Inquisitor. This information proves useful in accessing restricted areas through deception and impersonation. The scene shifts to the boudoir, described as a horrible place where hope cannot exist. It's revealed that everything in the house exists solely for Raphael's pleasure. A tense encounter occurs with a resident of the boudoir who attempts to engage in a game. The presence of the Orphic Hammer is confirmed in the archive, protected by a magical password. The phrase, "Give me my heart's desire," proves to be the key to accessing it. The stakes are raised as Raphael is expected to pursue the hammer's theft. The final moments involve a daring escape plan with the Orphic Hammer. Hope provides strategic advice about confronting Raphael, suggesting that her freedom will enrage him and potentially cause him to make mistakes. The scene concludes with successful liberation. A dramatic confrontation unfolds in a mysterious room where someone appears concerned about their appearance after decades of presumed mutilation. Despite their worries, they are reassured that they look perfectly normal, though they remain skeptical of this kindness. The master of the house arrives, expressing deep hatred for the chaos of the mortal world, things like kittens and children. They are furious about uninvited guests stealing from them and disrupting their orderly domain. The tension builds as confrontation seems inevitable. A dramatic revelation occurs about the fatal flaws of mortals and their free will. The master criticizes how humans react poorly, whether given freedom or having it taken away. The conflict escalates as someone declares this isn't just a rebellion, but a full revolt. The scene intensifies as brave challengers stand against a devil in his own domain. Someone switches sides to join the protagonists, leading to a dramatic confrontation where the devil threatens to make their flesh his supper and their soul his plaything. Victory is achieved against seemingly impossible odds. The survivors can hardly believe they made it through alive. However, the triumph is bittersweet as they mourn the loss of Gorilla, who had chosen the wrong side despite having once been a caring sister. The aftermath reveals the incredible feat of infiltrating a devil's lair and surviving. Discussion turns to future alliances and conflicts, particularly regarding someone named Orpheus, who deserves freedom. Complex political and moral decisions must be made. The focus shifts to a mission involving an astral prism and the legendary silver swords. These special weapons are described as having unique properties, able to cleave both physical form and mind. They contain fragments of something called the Living Gate. The narrative turns to political intrigue involving Duke Stelmane and their alliance with Mind Flayers. A personal account describes Stelmane's transformation from a graceful leader to someone dramatically changed, possibly by more than just a stroke. A conversation about Minsk and Boo reveals their past encounter with a wicked witch named Viconia. Boo, a miniature giant space hamster, had a frightening experience where Viconia attempted to harm him while he slept. Thanks to Boo's alertness, he managed to escape and later shared the tale over breakfast. The scene shifts to a magical encounter where a statue of Mystra, goddess of the weave, has opened a summoning channel. The air crackles with pure magical energy, creating an opportunity for direct communication with the goddess herself. This moment brings nervousness despite previous interactions with Mystra. A tense reunion occurs with Mystra, revealing crucial information about the Karsite weave, a corrupted form of magic created during Kar's brief godhood. This magic threatens to consume all existing magic, forcing Mystra to temporarily contain its power within the true weave. The situation grows dire as an elder brain poses a threat of becoming a new deity. The revelation about the Karsite weave sparks ambition and debate about its nature. Rather than viewing it as inherently evil, it's described as a neutral tool waiting to be shaped. The discussion centers around destiny, power, and the responsibility of wielding divine artifacts. After a major confrontation with Gortash, feelings of exhaustion and futility emerge. The victory feels hollow as underlying problems remain unsolved. The reality of mortality and inevitable death weighs heavily, leading to emotional turmoil and questioning the meaning of survival and sacrifice. A powerful psychic experience occurs involving the Absolute and an elder brain. The screech of triumph signals a critical moment as the elder brain gains autonomy. The focus shifts to finding the final netherstone and preventing the elder brain from breaking free completely. Multiple threats loom, the Dark Three threatening the Sword Coast, persistent tadpole infections, and personal mortality, creating a sense of urgency and desperation in the face of these challenges. In an emotional moment, two friends share a touching conversation about mortality and friendship. Despite facing difficult circumstances, they find comfort in each other's presence, able to breathe, talk, and even laugh together in the present moment. A heartfelt request is made for companionship during final moments. One friend expresses feeling capable of facing anything, even death, with the other present. The response is an unconditional promise to be there, whatever may come. The mood lightens as they acknowledge the need to focus on current heroic tasks rather than dwelling on sadness. A touching moment of gratitude is shared between the friends, recognizing their partnership in facing challenges together. A discussion ensues about how best to support their friend Karlach, who has lost 10 years of her life. While some suggest finding a cure or justice, others acknowledge they cannot give back what she has lost and should avoid false hopes. An ancient statue of Baldur, the city's founder, presents a cryptic message about peril, shadows, and a sleeping worm awaiting a hero. The scene carries mystical undertones as the statue tests the worthiness of those who approach. A series of paintings tells a story through images, a kind man helping children, secret meetings, theft of magical artifacts, pursuit by authorities, and ultimately facing judgment. The narrative shows both compassion and consequences. A strategic challenge is presented involving a game of chess where the Dark King must fall in 2 moves. The scene demonstrates the importance of tactical thinking and accepting help from allies when needed. 2 contrasting philosophical texts are discovered. One advocates for peaceful union despite sacrifices, while another promotes harsh treatment of conquered enemies. The choice between these perspectives becomes a test of wisdom. Ancient verses speak of heroic virtues, courage against fear, insight for guidance, justice in ruling, and strategy in leadership. These words serve as both instruction and validation for those who would be heroes. A powerful connection is revealed between an ancient spirit and the present, as memories and consciousness flow between them. The scene carries heavy emotional weight as past relationships and betrayals come to light. The founding of Baldur's Gate is recounted through personal history. The tale involves adventure, treasure, transformation, and ultimately tragic choices that led to the current situation. The story highlights how ambition and necessity can shape destiny. The Netherstone must be found before the brain breaks free. The heart of the gate has fallen, requiring consultation with someone's father. There are mentions of slain joy and freedom, along with references to neutralized witnesses being eliminated. A repeated command emerges to kill someone named Orin. A voice lingers as echoes fade. The death of someone named Answer is discussed as both a tragedy and an opportunity. Despite the loss, there remains high hopes for the city's future. The defeat of an undead terror marks a significant victory, suggesting greater strength than even a great worm. There's talk of rebuilding Baldur's Gate and taking back the city. An offer is made for the position of Grand Duke on the council. However, complications arise due to possession by a half-devil, creating uncertainty about the future direction of leadership. Rather than accepting a position of power, the choice is made to become the Blade of Avernus, dedicated to hunting demons and devils that threaten the Sword Coast. This decision is blessed with guidance toward courage, insight, strategy, and justice. The Blade of Avernus represents a transformation, embodying 4 pillars: courage, insight, strategy, and justice. A celebration is proposed with venison and ale, marking this significant change. Plans are made for 2 heroes to fight together against future threats. Discussion turns to lost memories, with some potentially recoverable, but others permanently gone. Painful memories restored by Shah are overwhelming, described as a lifetime of nightmares unleashed at once. Despite this trauma, there's determination to maintain freedom. The reputation of the Blade of Avernus grows, striking fear into the hearts of devils. The transformation from the Blade of Frontiers to the Blade of Avernus represents a new chapter in combating evil forces. Shared memories reveal intense battles and extraordinary experiences, suggesting supernatural survival against incredible odds. Discussion of complex combat techniques and encounters with gods and monsters shows the epic scale of past adventures. Plans emerge to target Orin and deal with a growing threat from an elder brain. There's mention of keeping certain devil-related matters secret while maintaining focus on upcoming challenges. A powerful force of balance is discussed, along with a young girl named Arabella who possesses wild magic. Decisions are made about her future training and departure from cursed lands, guided by fate and the weave. A crime scene investigation reveals the murder of Duke Style. Evidence includes poison use, blood symbols, and a removed hand. Connections to other similar murders across the city suggest involvement of a Baal cult, leading to an unofficial investigation. A discovered list reveals targets marked for assassination by aspiring members of the Church of Baal, with instructions to frame the murders on the cult of the Absolute. This evidence needs to be reported to authorities immediately. A century ago, a man named Saravok Onchev, a child of the god of murder, ruled the Iron Throne, a dark tower concealing an arms-dealing network. Under his leadership, the Baal Temple and cult were revived. The Iron Throne was eventually destroyed and thrown into the Chionthar River to cleanse the city of his influence, but the cult persisted secretly. The recent brutal killings match Saravok's style, but with a new ritualistic element, suggesting they were done as acts of worship. The cuts are extraordinarily precise, beyond the skill of normal butchers. Someone has been continuing Saravok's work through these ceremonial murders. A warning is given about a murder target list, but the threat is initially dismissed. The killer then strikes, revealing themselves to be a religious zealot who sees the murders as sacrifices. They threaten to peel the face off, anyone who interferes with their mission. The killer views their murders as ceremonial offerings to their lord, using various cutting tools like razors and scissors. They see their victims as sacrifices and their killings as transcendent acts. Despite having blades, they face resistance from someone with magical abilities. The killings are revealed to be part of an initiation test. The killers paralyze their victims and take their hands as offerings to Baal, disguising it as the work of the cult of the Absolute. This grants them access to a tribunal beneath Candlekeep tombstones. At the tribunal, aspirants must present a victim's hand as proof of their kill. The tribunal is run by Sarevok Onchev himself, who survived through dark magic and has been gathering Baal followers secretly beneath the city, acting as a festering poison in Baldur's Gate. Sarevok reveals his granddaughter Orin is now leading the cult as Baal's chosen. At age 7, Orin killed her own mother, who had tried to smother her, cutting off her mother's hand. Baal himself spoke through Orin, declaring her protected and destined to serve him. The scene concludes with the rescue of a prisoner who had been paralyzed and chained up by the cultists. The prisoner admits to wrongly blaming a refugee for a murder, suggesting the cult's activities had wider implications for innocent people in the city. Intelligence was gathered about a hidden temple in the old Undercity being used by a dangerous cult. This same temple was previously destroyed by heroes a century ago, suggesting history might repeat itself with a new group of brave individuals taking on this challenge. A major victory was achieved in defeating Sarevok at the Barlish Tribunal. This success led to an invitation to join an organization called the Fish, as they were looking for skilled and capable new members. Upon approaching a mystical door, ancient whispers revealed powerful death magic. The door required proof of faith to Baal, which was provided through an amulet. The triumph over the murder tribunal served as evidence of devotion. A tense confrontation occurred over the death of Sarevok Crimson, with accusations about who had the right to end his life. This led to an intense battle filled with religious undertones and references to salvation through the blades. After an epic battle, victory was achieved over another divine chosen one. The corrupted atmosphere of the location prompted a return to the cleaner air of the camp. This marked a significant step forward in the ongoing mission. The acquisition of the final stone revealed its connection to a location where the Chosen had imprisoned the brain. The nether stones demonstrated powerful psionic energy, creating a rhythmic connection that pointed toward the next objective. The discovery of Dribbles the Clown provided crucial elements for a transformation. Through magic, plans were made to elevate him from famous to legendary status. A reward was given for this assistance, along with a warning about facing the Absolute. The defeat of Orin represented a major victory in the larger conflict. Acquiring another Netherstone brought everyone closer to controlling the Nether Brain. The significance of this achievement was celebrated by all involved. A shocking revelation emerged about Balduron, a legendary figure who had transformed into something unexpected. This truth was deemed so sensitive, it needed to remain secret, as Balduron's name held immense significance for the city. A philosophical discussion about time as the true enemy emerged, focusing on its relentless nature and ability to conquer all things. This led to a special moment at the Wild Oak, a legendary tree with supposed magical properties. An intense mental force invades the mind, creating an overwhelming sensation of being drained. The atmosphere becomes heavy with a deathly silence and stale air. The tension builds to an almost unbearable level, with senses stretched to their limits. A sinister revelation unfolds as it becomes clear that killing the Chosen and taking the Nether Stones was part of a larger plan. Rather than weakening the entity, These actions have actually freed it from its constraints, playing directly into its scheme. The crown is revealed to be both a source of weakness and power. It was used to build an army and manipulate the chosen, who were given just enough control to fulfill their roles in a greater design. The entity now claims the crown for its own purposes. The manipulation runs deeper than initially thought. The entity orchestrated everything from the knowledge of the astral prison to the Emperor's escape. It only needed one nether stone to secure its freedom, and everyone unknowingly played their assigned roles in its master plan. A dramatic rescue occurs just in time, but the situation is revealed to be more dire than expected. The crown's magic has transformed the brain into something more powerful and calculating, making it nearly impossible to outmaneuver, as it can predict every possible move. A proposal is made to assimilate Orpheus and use the nether stones in a new way. This leads to tension and conflict over trust, with revelations about past deceptions and true identities coming to light. The alliance begins to fracture under the pressure. A profound psychic experience occurs as the prince takes action. Despite past conflicts and betrayals, circumstances force former enemies to become allies against the greater threat of the nether brain. A heroic sacrifice is proposed. Someone must become a mind flayer to defeat the nether brain. This transformation represents the ultimate price for saving their people and stopping the grand design. The transformation causes shock and discord among allies, but the urgency of the mission helps maintain focus on the greater goal. Messages of hope and resistance are shared, emphasizing the importance of spreading the truth about what has occurred. The narrative shifts to Baldur's Gate, described as more than just a city. It's a symbol of opportunity, refuge, and hope. A rallying cry goes out as defenders prepare to protect what they hold dear. Various allies step forward to join the fight, each bringing their unique abilities and motivations. Despite initial suspicion of the Mind Flayer ally, they unite under a common cause. The City Watch, magic users, and various warriors pledge their support to the upcoming battle. In a pivotal battle, forces face off against red dragons in a stunning display of might. Despite the chaos, there is a moment of appreciation for the dragon's beauty. The battle represents a rare alignment between opposing forces, united temporarily against a common threat. The warriors steel themselves for the upcoming confrontation with the nether brain. There is determination to end the enslavement of their people once and for all. The atmosphere is tense but filled with resolve. The fighters acknowledge the need to push forward without overthinking. They draw strength from their past victories, recognizing that their success came from skill and determination rather than luck. They commit to staying united through the upcoming challenge. The High Hall, once a place of wisdom and celebration, has become overrun with horrors. The warriors discuss using a mysterious orb as a last resort, with one pledging unwavering support if needed. The group faces intense combat while racing against time. Despite the uncertainty of their fate, they take pride in facing it together. The City Watch demonstrates remarkable bravery in defending their home. A critical moment arrives as they discover the site of domination. The nether stones and crown become key to ending the conflict. Strange visions from dreams become reality as they prepare for the final confrontation. The battle against the brain reaches its climax. The enemy shows signs of weakness but remains formidable. The warriors coordinate their efforts, sensing victory is within reach as the brain begins to falter. The brain is finally subdued after an intense struggle. The victory comes at a great cost, as the aftermath brings both physical and mental challenges for the survivors. The silence that follows marks the end of a long-standing threat. With the nether brain destroyed, the tadpoles die as well. This marks a bittersweet victory as some allies face difficult transformations. A prince makes the ultimate sacrifice for his people's freedom, entrusting others to continue the fight. In the aftermath, the Githyanki depart, leaving the city in need of rebuilding. Attention turns to the powerful crown, which becomes a source of temptation and potential conflict among the survivors. The heroes emerge victorious, earning their place among the legends of the Sword Coast. They are recognized as the saviors of Baldur's Gate, though personal challenges and new quests await them in the future. The final moments focus on personal relationships and future commitments. A warrior asks their companion to join them in future battles as both fighters and partners. Despite the looming challenges, they look forward to writing the next chapter of their saga together. In an epic confrontation, powerful beings face consequences for their questionable actions. Their attempts to gain more power through questionable means have been discovered, and their plans are being called out as barely worthy of notice. There is discussion of souls mysteriously vanishing when their hosts are transformed into mind flayers. This shocking discovery reveals a sinister connection between disappearing souls and these dangerous creatures. Despite their divine status, these beings have demonstrated poor judgment and foolishness in their actions. Their schemes have ultimately led to their downfall, proving that even powerful entities can make devastating mistakes. The mighty have fallen from grace, with their vain attempts at power ending in defeat. Their previous glory has been reduced to desperate pleas and final breaths. In a surprising turn of events, these once powerful beings have been defeated by mortals, proving that their strength was overestimated. This shocking outcome demonstrates that even the mightiest can fall. The confrontation concludes with the permanent banishment of these troublemakers, ensuring they will no longer pose a threat to the established order. Their defeat serves as a warning about the consequences of overreaching ambition.